I'm Dennis Aseto. The Appointment Committee in the National Assembly has unanimously rejected the appointment of Ednah Malonza as Tourism Cabinet Secretary. In the selection report, Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah said the committee led by Speaker Moses Wetangula approved the selection of 21 other CS nominees. However, Minority Leader Junet Mohammed said the Azimio coalition submitted a report rejecting the nomination of Aisha Jumwa and Mithika Linturi on the basis of facing various cases in court.
This House rejects the appointment of the Honorable Ednah Malonza, OGW, as a Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage. Honorable members, this is just the notice to the motion. The motion will be there, you will debate.
That there is a minority report attached to the main report for discussion in this House that is rejecting the nomination of Honorable Aisha Jumwa and Honorable Linturi, Mr. Speaker. The people being rejected are not only one person. We are rejecting 3 people in total, Mr. Speaker.
But why was Ednah Malonza rejected by all 21 committee members now? In the report, the committee members questioned Ednah's ability to manage the activities of the Ministry of Tourism after she failed to explain herself during the interview.
I mean, it is normal for one to be a stage fright. It's a singular event. We cannot use that singular event to deny the women of this country an opportunity to serve.
We were not looking at gender, Madam Speaker. We were looking at the suitability and the competence of that individual to hold that high office of a Cabinet Secretary, Madam Speaker.
What is out of order, Honorable Makali Mulu?
I think when he says that they were not looking at gender, that is unconstitutional. The Constitution demands that they must consider gender as one of the key factors when looking at these things.
Linturi and Jumwa have also been rejected by Azimio representatives due to the cases they face.
EACC further stated that it had received adverse reports against the following nominees. 1. Honorable Franklin Mithika Linturi. Allegations that he is in possession of a forged KCSE certificate and Bachelor of Commerce degree from Marathwada University in India, which he used to register for the Bachelor of Laws degree in the University of Nairobi. His Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of Nairobi had no issue whatsoever. And yet, according to the EACC, this is a matter which is still under active investigation.
The committee has, however, approved the appointment of Justin Muturi as the Attorney General, Mercy Wanjau Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi's Chief CS, Eden Duale, Alfred Mutu and Ali Sohom, among others, who were vetted last week. Now, Vihiga Senator Godfrey Osotsi has been unanimously elected to chair the newly formed Senate County Investment and Special Funds Committee. In the election, his Kisumu counterpart, Professor Tom Ojienda, was unanimously backed to deputize him. Osotsi pledged to ensure the new committee delivers on its oversight mandate on all investments done in counties as well as special funds. Ojienda, who also spoke following the resolution by the committee, pointed out that the work before the departmental team is a huge mandate compared to that of the Senate Public Accounts Committee, as it involved multiple projects ongoing in all the 47 counties. This, as Homa Bay Senator Moses Kajwang was elected as chairman of the Senate County Public Accounts Committee. The powerful committee oversight counties expenditure. Kajwang, who was elected unopposed, will be serving in the position for a record 3rd time. He served as chair in the 11th and 12th Parliament in the then Senate County Public Accounts and Investment Committee. Kajwang will be deputized by Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei. On his part, Cherargei thanked his colleagues for electing him. Now, President William Ruto said has told Kenyans that the price of unga will go down in the next 1 year. He says this will be made possible through the distribution of subsidized fertilizers to farmers who will plant crops to achieve food sufficiency in the country.
Wale walioharibu hii mambo ya unga mpaka ikafika shilingi 230 walikoroga hiyo mambo kwa miaka 4. Si ndio? Si waliharibu kwa miaka 4? Munipatie tu mwaka moja peke yake nitakuwa nimenyorosha. So mosmos, hiyo safari ya kupunguza gharama ya unga na gharama ya maisha tayari nimeianzisha. Tayari tumepatia wakulima wetu mbolea magunia 1.5 milioni na tunawapatia ingine magunia 6 wazalishe chakula, ndio chakula ifike hapa ikiwa bei nafuu na bei ya unga tuanze kuiteremusha.
Ruto further said that the Kazim Tani project was outdated and those involved in the program will now be absorbed in jobs created in the affordable housing project. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
We're in the middle of the week. It's Wednesday, and let's look at what the roads are going to look like today. Right there in the middle of it, and we see that the CBD is taking on quite a hit in terms of traffic this morning. Jogger Road not doing too badly. You should be able to get in and out of Jogger Road without an issue. Getting onto Landis, which interestingly enough is already piling up as you go towards Kamkunji. All right, what else are we looking at? A little bit of traffic also building up on the Thika Superhighway. That's coming into the city. It looks good on Kiambu Road. Now is the time to get out if that's what you are trying to do. Getting into Westlands then from the CBD and other parts of the city should be okay for now as well. Gong Road looks pretty good. You might want to get out while you can. We're coming into Wednesday morning and it's looking good so far. It looks like we started off on the right note, but you might want to make haste before the sun actually does shine at this point. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Keep things moving this morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to...
See, let's start the day, Basi. Sindio Basi. City, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Yes. And you, Ndu? How are you?
That is a cut. That was a genuine cut from them. Fine. Okay, you're fine.
How are you, Eric?
What did I do?
What did you do to what?
Nothing. Woohoo, Bas.
Oui.
Bas.
Oh, you say fine. No, are you okay? Fine.
I'm okay.
What did I do? Nothing.
Nothing.
Are you okay? Yes.
Yes.
Who does that?
I think everybody knows who does that.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't, by the way. Ezio Kubundi from Malco. Why Hubert?
Of course, if you ask those who do it, they'll tell you they don't.
Oh, stop it. That's such a...
No, I don't. I'm usually very clear. When I'm not happy, I say I'm not happy.
But am I not?
I think, repeat the sentence again.
They say that. I'm usually very clear.
Very clear.
When I'm not happy, I tell you I'm not happy.
So
and then you tell them, but the other day you said, fine. No.
Even you misunderstand. That day, have you forgotten? Hiya. But I was fine.
So what did you want me to say?
And I was fine. Didn't I look fine?
But what if the person is genuinely fine? What if the person is genuinely fine?
When we ask you how you are.
Who is we and who is you? I'm not understanding.
When we ask you.
I don't understand.
We is the royal myself. When I ask you if you are well, I am not really asking for your life history.
But why?
I'm not interested in your life history.
Just saying something to,
I am greeting you.
Okay, so.
And it's a polite way of greeting, and you're supposed to say, I'm fine. You're not supposed to tell me I'm feeling unwell. That one I don't want
you
to
say,
know.
well, now that you've asked.
No, don't go there.
Let me tell you.
If you must talk about your unwellness, speak briefly about the headache you have and the stomachache, and then leave it at that.
Okay, so, City, how are you this morning?
I'm very well, thank you.
Fantastic. and you, all right?
I am well. Now that you ask.
Oh,
wow. How are you, everybody? Are you fine? Are you okay? Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the Situation Room at 11 minutes after 6 on the 26th day of... We are still in October 2022.
Today's the 26th.
Imagine. Yeah. Go figure.
Mama, yeah.
November is coming.
Remember that song we often sing around Christmas? The one where your baby says to you something.
It's not
And they're pigeons. I don't
true
know.
love.
What.
It's true love, CT.
And
true
pigeons.
Which
The ones
partridge?
Pigeons
It's
on
a partridge in a pear tree, donkey.
No. It's pigeons. It's pigeons in a palm tree.
The pigeons and a palm tree.
We're getting to that place.
We're heading there very soon. Well, it's been how many weeks? 6 weeks since William Ruto swore oath of office as President of the Republic of Kenya to uphold the Constitution and to serve the people diligently. And his cabinet is likely to get the nod today. So now he has his full cabinet. But it's still, he'll be telling us, but you see, I don't have my PSs. Kwani who are those people who are serving?
They are PSs. That's why they're called permanent secretaries. We call them principal permanent?
They're principal.
Precisely. But that's the way government works. There are people who never really move. They're there just to ensure that the business of government continues.
Even ministers haven't moved.
No, they haven't.
President Ruto ensured that. He actually ensured that first order of business, first Tuesday after becoming president, he summoned the cabinet. And everywhere the president goes, the relevant cabinet secretary is present. Yesterday he was in Kibra. James Macharia was there. Present. Yes. So akona cabinet, akona PSs, but today he will get his pick, likely, of his cabinet secretaries.
Why do you use the word likely?
Because it's you never know.
One never knows, eh?
One never knows, man. One never knows. Anyway, so we'll be discussing that through the show today. We'll be also discussing what the president has said so far, what his 6 weeks in office have been looking like, and we'll invite you to join us in that conversation. Tell us, has Xi Jinping done the thing?
Xi Jinping has done the thing. Of course we know, but in terms of opening up, it's probably going to happen in the next few days or so. That's what we're talking about now. That it's interesting because there was a story about Q4 of this year in China, likely to then shoot up in terms of its economy growth, because after the announcement of Xi Jinping, the likelihood of him opening up the economy then because of COVID is very high. So we'll wait and see. Biden, after getting a COVID, has now gotten the latest COVID vaccine and urges Americans and the rest of y'all to do the same.
There's a new one.
There's another one. It's an updated COVID-19 vaccine. He got it yesterday. He rolled up his sleeve, literally, and got the shot. And he says Americans should come out and do the same. He urged them to put partisan politics aside because, it is a political gimmick, noting that more than 1 million people in the United States had died from COVID. So come out. It's an updated vaccine. And what this particular one does is that it will cover what is in circulation in terms of the virus, but they have then been able to study the virus so much so they said, okay, it's likely to, and it's very interesting, it's likely to mutate in this direction or another. So can then we create something around it that would then boost it and say, even if you were to get this other variant, which is likely to look this way, can you be covered? All based on inference, but hey, it seems like it's something that has been accepting. 20 million Americans have received an updated COVID booster, and just 1 in 5 seniors, the White House said last week. The new bivalent shots target currently circulating Omicron subvariants of the virus as well as the original version. Why are they doing this now? Because they are in the fall months, it's getting crispier and chillier, and they're talking about a twindemic, that the flu, which then is very resident in the Western Hemisphere come this time of year when it's colder, combined with COVID, which we've seen also rises during the cold weather, is probably something that they would suffer from, and they're saying, look, get the vaccine, get your booster shots.
Who's made this new one? Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson?
Let me just tell you in a minute. I can't tell you just now, but I'll find out and I'll let you know. More likely that it is Pfizer because, excuse me, we're looking at majority of those who've taken it being Americans. All right. The Ministry of Health is very serious about Chanjwa Pata chanjo, tuwe chonjo is what the Ministry of Health is saying now. There's still vaccines up for grabs in the country. We've seen lethargy, or we've seen apathy in terms of folks getting vaccinated. And the Ministry of Health is upping their game and saying, you guys, you know what? It's still available in many counties around the country. Please come out and get vaccinated.
What you're showing on the screen is from the Ministry of Health.
Yes, sir.
Chanjo, pata chanjo, tuwe chonjo.
Tuwe chonjo, yes. So there's a renewed...
So what vaccine are they talking about?
COVID.
Why do they have to show us somebody...
I don't know. They have several pictures.
Amputated and walking on crutches.
Yeah, they have several pictures that they're using. I do not know why they used this particular picture.
Because you look at that and you're wondering, is it polio vaccine?
I did. I looked at it at first and I was like, okay, so what exactly is this? So, but talking about the COVID-19 vaccine is safe and recommended for all eligible populations. Stop by any vaccination center across the country and get either your first, second, or booster dose to get healthy, to be healthy and protected. Chanjwa, pata chanjo, tuwe chonjo.
Okay. Tupate chanjo tuwe chonjo basi. 18 after 6. Are you online? You know what you need to do. Tell us where you're tuned in from this morning. We will appreciate and acknowledge your presence. Let's first take a look at the weather forecasts.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The adults in the room.
He's promiscuous or he's polygamous. We need to get over ourselves.
So I should always know the man that marries me, I know there'll be other women.
Yes.
The relationship you have with yourself is the foundation of the relationships you will have with other people.
Things that we never talk about. 3 things. Stop, breathe, and relax.
Whether it is matters of the heart, finances, or work that's weighing on your mind, worry not.
Tune into Adults in the Room
every Monday to Friday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
The adults in the room will help you stay winning. Only on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Brilliant sunrise in Nairobi at 17 degrees. It's mostly clear. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 17 today. It's 11 degrees and clear in Nakuru, highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 27. In a mostly clear Nyeri at 16. 14 and clear in Eldoret, highs of 26 and lows of 14. And we're looking at a drizzle in parts of Mombasa, currently at 25. We'll go to highs of 30 and lows of 24. Malindi is sunny at 26, highs of 30 and lows of 25. And it's clear at 20 in Kisumu. We'll go to highs of 32 today. It'll also be a pretty warm day in Kakamega. We'll see highs of 31. It's currently clear at 17. 17 and clear in Kampala, highs of 30, and we'll see highs of 30 as well in a partly sunny Dar es Salaam at 23. Joburg wakes up to 14 degrees and mostly clear conditions, highs of 28, and it's 25 and mostly clear in Lagos, highs of 31. Rain showers in Kinshasa at 25, highs of 32. And lows of 24. It's raining Wednesday afternoon in Beijing. We'll see highs of 17 and lows of 10. Cloudy conditions in Paris at 16, highs of 23 and lows of 14. It's mostly cloudy this morning in London at 16, highs of 20 and lows of 15. And there's a special weather report coming out of New York. It's cloudy at 18, chance of weather drop. Coming into Wednesday, we'll see highs of 21 and lows of 18.
Chilled Spice. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Morning, everybody. Andrew Franklin is up and awake this morning and saying, Spice FM, regarding COVID-19 vaccines, has the MOH authorized second boosters for members of higher risk groups? Or we don't know about second boosters. The folks have not come out to get the first boosters. So remember, there's a first vaccine, there's your second shot, if you are not taking the Johnsons, and then there is your booster shot. So for now, we're just looking at the booster shots in Kenya. So why is MOH remaining silent on this matter, even as vaccines on hand expire? Well,
actually, the government has not said anything about a second booster.
No,
right?
They haven't.
They are silent on it.
They haven't.
That means if you go and if you're going for a second booster, you likely get it.
Yeah. Not that it's not available. I mean, they're available. If you're coming for a booster, go ahead and get the booster.
Okay.
Okay. All right. From Minneapolis, Minnesota, that's where Zeph Keroro is. Good morning. TG Apache says It must be somewhere. You had to be in Asia.
Where is
Here
it?
we say Kia Bati, meaning how are you, Ndruoko, Muga, and Latif, or what's up? Kia Bati.
Hey, it's in India. Kia bat hey.
Kia Bate. Great voices this morning, listening keenly from Goa, the south coast of India. God bless India and God bless Kenya.
So how do you respond when you say Kia bat hey?
Kia Bate, you say what?
But.
Okay,
I
sour.
don't know.
Wait. You ask a question and you're looking at me.
I know.
You say I'm fine.
Baht is actually the currency in Myanmar. But anyway, moving on. Faristo Muganda says, Wa Bubere Mumias is where he's tuning in from this morning. Atuti Dan says, hello folks, now Penda Sana, Santi Sana, Tino Penda Pia. Rogers Lai is tuning from Mombasa, and Dr. Henry Ochok is tuned in this morning. Mope is in Nyeri. Kapenguria is where again? You told me this. Is in which county? Where's Kapenguria?
West Pokot.
West Pokot, thank you very much.
It's the capital
Game
of
is
West Pokot.
Is where Emmanuel.
Game is in West Pokot.
No, I'm moving on. We have left West Pokot. Now in Game. I've left.
Okay.
Sia County.
That's what I got. Siaya.
You got that one.
I got
Siaya.
Siaya. Mageto Jaja says good morning. He's tuning from Kisumu. Gideon says he's tuned in from Kapoleso Bay. Okay, Kisumu is where Dennis Sige is tuned in this morning, and Atieno is up and awake, seatbelt fastened, let's go. Kikuyu, who is our guest of honor today? Kikuyu, rather, is where Kamau is, and he's asking who is the guest of honor. And he says his proverb is, give me 1 year to sort out the high unga prices. Simon Wapala is tuned in this morning.
Let's tell him who the guest of honor is. At 8 o'clock, we're going to be hosting Gabriel Mutuma. He is a policy and governance expert, to look at the vetting report from the Committee on Appointments of the National Assembly.
Got it?
Yes.
Got it. Kene says he really loves being here. Thank you for being in the room. Joshua Nsongo rather, is tuned in from Nyamira County. And James Mule is at the Palms Resort, Nyali, Mombasa. That's where he is this morning. We see all of you who've tuned in. And Teacher Bunda is tuned in from Gong in Kajiado County. Karibuni sana. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Mwalimu from Nagong.
Nigong.
Mwalimu City.
Yes.
We are in Ethiopia.
Tuko Ethiopia, baba.
Sawa. Proverb.
Tuangalie proverb.
Yeah.
Okay, proverb kutoka Ethiopia yasema hivi. Hapo zamani za kale.
Paliondokea chanjaga. Kajenga nyumba kaka.
Basi.
Mwanangu mwanafisi vijino kama kikiti. Ta kujengea nyumba na vilango vya kupitia. Basi.
Leo yaliyopita.
Shindwele.
Yote imepita.
Yote imepita.
Yes.
Like this.
Yes. We spoke about a leopard. Let's continue the tale of the leopard, shall we?
Okay.
Tail of the leopard or the tail?
You, my friend,
you can tell the tale if you want to tell
listener,
the tale.
Indeed.
Can you tell whether it's a tail or tail?
Precisely. Now, this is what we are going to unravel. 1, 2, 3.
Go.
Do not catch a leopard by its tail. But if you do, don't let go.
For the tail tells no tale. Do not catch a leopard by the tail.
Do not.
But if you do,
yes,
you better not let go.
That is one angry animal. It's ferocious. Whatever it eats, leopard should take up yoga.
They should take a chill pill.
No, they should take
They
up
should
yoga.
really relax.
Well, it calms them down.
They're too high strung. They're too high strung. Now, all is in my mind is a leopard sitting in the meditative.
Yes, going
consulting its chi.
Yes.
Everyone should take up yoga. If I haven't heard everything.
Okay, remember we are running this Sunday, and the Standard Chartered yesterday released the route for this Sunday's Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon, flanked by the police. So the route is going to be along the Southern Bypass, flagging off where?
Uhuru Garden.
Uhuru Gardens.
Uhuru Gardens, Langata Road.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
So running off from there, and then you do the thing around the southern bypass, and then you do like that, and then blah blah blah, and then Quisha. You win.
Just like that?
Ah, yes.
You win the race.
Yes.
I'm in the race. Okay.
Just like that, and you win the race.
So, boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could all be so simple.
Yeah. So prepare yourself to run. Let's look at the newspaper headlines, Tafadali.
MPs warning shot to Ruto's cabinet. That's what's on the front page of the Standard. So, of course, amid claims of doubt, all but one of President Ruto's cabinet nominees sailed through committee vetting. By last evening, Penina Malonza was on the verge of being saved by the plenary. As debate picks up this morning, focus shifts to the heavy tasks that await them. So we know that the debate continues today on the floor. We'll wait and see what happens. There are other headlines here that will catch our attention. 40 years in jail for a man who killed a magistrate's girl. Ryla's family unclaimed millions, and India prides in new UK premiere. On the front page of the Daily Nation, the EACC goes for former Moi aid in 2.5 billion shilling case. The man who owns part of the Mombasa airport runway. Did you know you could do that? Own a part of the runway.
That's clever, yeah?
Isn't it?
We live and learn, don't we?
I'm telling you, it's great.
Wow.
I'll tell you about that story later. But there's conflicting reports of and deepening mystery of the journalist shooting. So questions are still coming out there. And Ruto ends. It's interesting that they've used this. Ruto ends Uhuru's Kazi Ntani project.
Put a stop to it. Put a pin to it. Did your guy do the guy?
Take it as a no, the guy did not guy. The
Oh
guy
my
was not
goodness.
guying today.
All is not lost.
So plan A flopped. Plan B, no sooner had plan B been initiated.
All is
You know,
not
it's
lost.
possible that plan A saw that plan B was coming and decided, even this one, I'm not
I'm
going
gonna,
to.
or plan B was plan A all along. In a
Oh,
different
you great
codes.
planners of the
Hoping
planet.
that they would focus on plan C.
Okay. All is not lost, people. I have the East African.
Today's Wednesday, but it's all right. Carry on. What's the headline on the weekly?
Good. I'm glad that you people are. I am looking for good news, and I found the good news.
You found the good news?
No. It's I'm just getting to the point. One of the things that we talk about in this country with regards to conservation, we talk about our forests, we talk about biodiversity, we talk about the ecosystem. But there's something that we talk about, but perhaps not as loudly as we should. Okay?
Yes.
The conservation of wildlife. I'm saying we don't. And why I'm saying we don't is because there is a trade that has gone completely and absolutely viral in other parts of the country. It's called bush meat trade.
But bush meat is sweet.
It's illegal in Kenya. Continue.
Now, one of the places where this has been rampant in this country is Kilifi. Kilifi County. Okay? But in other parts of the continent, it is fair game. And by the way, when you talk about
game.
Oh yes, it's it is fair game to eat game. And you see, you are talking about, when you talk about bush game, people think of antelopes. Yes. People think of dicks, isn't it?
Yeah.
People think of elands, the sort of creatures that
look like goats.
Yeah, precisely. But, and they think of impalas. But there are others who eat rodents. There are others who eat members of the cat family. There are others who eat snakes. There are others who eat monitor lizards. I get the impression they finished the crocodiles. So they've not.
Or maybe they didn't just quite muster up the courage to hunt the crocodile.
Yes.
Those that
They eat birds. Okay.
Apes.
Yes, pangolins. Now, just like we heard of the COVID outbreak and the open market where, again, bushmeat was being sold, because essentially it's bushmeat. That's bushmeat. Now, in this on this continent, it's something that is fairly rampant. But I'll tell you the story later, won't I?
Okay.
Yes.
You tell us the story later. So let's take a break then. All right. I will be telling you which roads will be closed on Sunday for the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon along the Southern Bypass. So the interchanges, for example, the Dagoretti Road interchange, the Southern Bypass and Ngong Road interchange, the Southern Bypass Langata Road interchange, Mombasa Road interchange, ICD turning point and traffic diversions will be taking place there. Southern Bypass from Moyaki Way closed to trailers and lorries from some time on Saturday to some time on Sunday. Details coming up if you keep it here, 28 minutes to 7.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start.
Yolanda Muller and DJ Absolute. When the gang is together, you know it's
Sugar and Spice.
Great vibes, conversations, a lot of humor. I like to say we don't give an F, we give 3 Fs.
You and I are in this relationship, so it is me to tell you who we are.
When you ask a chick, how many guys have you been with? She's like, including you. If it's fun, it's funky, it's fresh, you're definitely going to catch it here. I don't know what you do every day from 11 a.m. to 3 o'clock. If I were you, I'd tune in to SpiceFM 94.4.
I want you on my team.
So does everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay, Jogo Road has done the business, and we're seeing it really heavy going out towards that roundabout. It's going to spill over to Lusaka. Landis is not doing too badly. We saw earlier on there was some traffic there, but folks have decided, no, we're not doing this today. Langata Road is building up, coming in from South Sea, going towards Langata Road. So we have some action there, but it looks like it should, level off soon enough. Doesn't look too bad on Gong Road coming into the city. State House Road, for some reason, is packing up, getting out then towards Arboretum, so watch out for that. You might want to leave now or then, later. On the Thika Superhighway, it's heavy coming in from the Drift, and then we're seeing a little bit here and there on Kiambu Road coming in through to Muthaiga Square. Comes out of Limuru Road without too much of an issue right now, so it looks good. Still early pickings for traffic this morning, so you might want to get out now before things pack up. Don't say I didn't tell you. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
Spice up your life.
All right, 26 to 7. So we know the headlines are about the nominees when we're having that conversation in detail at 8 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And the issue of affordable housing and Kazi Mtaani, indeed, and lowering cost of living, and William Ruto's first 6 weeks in office in detail at 7 o'clock. So what else is in the papers?
Let me tell you. There's a guy who owns part of the Mombasa airstrip.
Tell where. Hey.
Does he have a name?
His name.
Let me start the story.
Let me start. The headline is EACC goes for former Moi aide in 2.5 billion shilling case. In the eye of a legal storm, a case filed before the Environment and Land Court in Mombasa by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission claims that companies associated with former Moi aide Joshua Kule illegally annexed 2 parcels, 10, not 2. 10 parcels of land from Moi International Airport in Mombasa that host crucial installations, including parts of the runway and military and United Nations support bases. What's wrong with you?
So what are they going to do next?
Let me finish now. The EACC also seeks to recover 984 million shillings and said it was illegally paid to him and his associates as compensation for land.
What EACC is doing actually lately is when they're pursuing that asset recovery, they're saying that's even maybe a better way of getting justice than pursuing the criminal side. See, asset recovery is now this thing of going and saying, so we found some asset here, let's have a conversation with the person whom we are suspecting, or also just pushing and saying, in this particular case, Your Honor, this particular public servant cannot explain their source of wealth. How about some forfeiture? So I think that's a big road that the EACC is doing. Remember, there was also the issue of forfeiture of some 200 million shillings The Court of Appeal has dismissed an application by Rafiki Microfinance Bank seeking to block an order requiring DP Rigathi Gachagua to forfeit 200 million shillings to the government. In the application, Rafiki Microfinance argued that the orders issued by High Court Judge Esther Maina would adversely affect it, as the money in Gachagua's fixed deposit account had also been used as security that guaranteed several loans taken by third parties. The microfinance's legal manager, Helen Nyaboke, told Court of Appeal judges Kathrima Mutoinoti, Dr. Imana Laibuta, and Mwaniki Gashoka that the Asset Recovery Agency had demanded remittance of the money and it risks being cited for contempt of court. She says the bank risks suffering substantial loss to its reputation and market standing if the High Court orders are carried out. However, the three judges found that Rafiki's worries were unfounded as the process has not yet taken effect. So the issue of, forfeiture and asset recovery still going on, man. Still going on. Let me tell you another story. This one I'm going to tell you. And I know you had another one that you wanted to tell us about what was happening in Migori County. But let me tell you about Vihiga County first. Okay? A payroll audit shows the Vihiga County government is losing more than 2 million shillings every month. Guess to what? To ghosts.
Like Boo.
Ghosts.
Casper.
Ghosts. The report prepared by the County Public Service Board revealed that 48 employees could not be traced during a headcount commissioned by Governor Wilbur Otichilo. A survey conducted between June 2020 and May 2021 shows recurrent expenditure alone gobbles at least 42% of the county government's annual budget. 42%! The county has at least 3,000 people employed. The County Public Service Board conducted a comprehensive human resource audit following a bloated and untenable wage burden. The board was expected to come up with cost-cutting recommendations. Last week, they released the audit findings, and according to the chairman, Franklin Esipila, a thorough audit was conducted within the stipulated period. Now, when you find there are 48 employees who are not at their workstations and their files could not be traced, yet they are drawing a salary amounting to 2.179 million shillings every month.
Problems.
What does that mean?
Why is this an issue? And that's why, look.
Why do ghosts exist in these counties?
Yeah. Why do you keep paying ghosts if you know they are ghosts? You've come, look, the only reason why this has come out is because it has been made public, n'est-ce pas? That you've said they are ghosts, but you have been paying them. So you are aware that there is an issue. So
no. They will tell you.
We didn't know. We came out to know later because we realized
the
that
payroll side does not look at files and all. Like, I don't have to look at nini file yake tuone ako permanent and pensionable.
No, once you just see it in the system, you pay.
Enters the system, money paid.
Now, because of that,
copy paste
because
next month. Copy paste.
Because they know that folks are going to copy paste and they know that nobody's going to ask questions. Then you ask yourself, who keeps inputting these ghosts into the system?
Yeah.
I think the ghosts may have been in the system all along.
Yeah.
It's just that they aren't active in this sense. If someone was an employee, say, for instance, of the provincial government, things change. The names are there, details are there. And you have a new government called the county government.
Yes.
And you are looking, there's this transition where people move over. At that point in time, do you really honestly know who is, given the vastness of that particular terrain that you're working in, do you know who is working and who isn't, who is in which sub-county and who is number one? Number two, the new people are employed. Is there a clear record of who has left the service, who has remained?
You see the things you're saying now, CT? You see the things you're saying? It makes sense, isn't it? Because of that transition, it only makes sense that there will be some people who fall through the gaps. And because of that alone, it should then guide you or spur you to say, hold on, perhaps we ought to do an audit of this system. Because of this transition, we are fully aware, you who is outside, you're fully aware that it is possible that some people fell through the cracks. So is it not something that you should have done or do on a regular basis?
Even if somebody fell through the cracks, there would be a file. Okay? If this person continues being in, let's say, so we are talking about the previous local authorities transitioning into the county governments.
Yes.
If the local authorities people are getting paid because they are attached to the Vihiga County Council, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are being paid through that. If they have transitioned somehow into the new system, there'd be a file.
There would be record.
There'll be a record showing that this is employee so-and-so, this is what they do, and they're here. And that's what would then precipitate them getting paid by the county government.
Yes.
Secondly, if there's a matter that we're talking about, that transition and the confusion around it, the County Public Service Board is in its third term. The first thing that they come and do is conduct an audit of the staff complement.
You're a man of faith.
That's the job of the County Public Service Board. They cannot come 12 years down the road and say,
with these people, we don't know that they had.
Do you have any idea how those people are actually elected, nominated, appointed, and how they come into office? I presented a logical sequence to try and explain it, but what actually happens belongs to the realm of a different kind of logic.
You're saying they're incapable of doing their job. I'm saying it's deliberate.
No, it's not that they're incapable. No.
You're placing a responsibility on them that they're not even seeing as important. They're not even there to, as far as they're concerned, do that.
We know what their task, what their job requirement is. We know what the mandate is. But you cannot have something this widespread unless and until it's deliberate.
That is what exactly I'm saying. That we cannot even say, maybe they didn't know, or perhaps they didn't do the transition properly, or perhaps they did not follow the rules of audit. I'm saying it is deliberate. I am saying across board, there are folks who know very well that this number of non-alive, dead ghosts work or don't work. They know very well. Perhaps even as far as saying, let's add a few more Charles Timothy Mugas. Let's add some more Eric Latifs in there. Let's add them in there so we can have money being paid to somebody who doesn't exist and they know exactly where that money is going. And this is what I'm saying. This thing of ghost workers, we didn't know. An audit has been done. We are paying 30,000 ghost workers. Who would have thunk it? They thunk it well, my friend. They did it.
Remember, the history of this country is littered with forays by either the Auditor General or whoever it is, either into the national government employee list or in those days local authority, where someone comes in and they want to root out ghost workers. And there's a lot of drama, and then it ends.
Noise.
Yes.
It's always an issue.
Remember, there is a second tier to this discussion, and that is people who, with the collusion of others, determine how they should work.
Yeah.
And this is, your name will be on that particular list of employees. However, since you and I both know that you are doing nothing, okay?
You don't even know where the office is.
Yes. This is what comes to you, but this comes to me.
From what comes to you, a portion of it will come to me.
Yeah.
Yes. Because if that doesn't work out, then we'll just put a halt to it. It'll stop coming. So somebody who is happily sitting doing nothing, and their participation was give name, ID, open an account, and that's it. And the money just keeps coming every month. Surely.
But then that's why I say even this whole story of ghost workers, because we could not find their records, it's all bunk.
It's nonsense.
Because money is being paid into an account.
It is.
An account is active.
Account has name.
It has statements.
There's
account has ID.
The bank has records of who is the owner of this bank account.
So,
are you telling me the CPSB was unable to get that?
You should stop deceiving us, I beg. In fact, it's insulting. It's not fair. You shouldn't do it again. It's not good. Because we know exactly what's going on.
Okay.
Unlike this jilted lover, who's now gotten 40 years in prison for killing a magistrate's daughter.
What?
Let me tell you. Are you ready?
Yes.
A former prison warder has been jailed for 40 years after being found guilty of killing his estranged lover's 9-year-old daughter 4 years ago. The court said the prosecution had proved beyond reasonable doubt that Benson Kimathi Murango murdered Maribel Capolon, the daughter of former Githongo senior resident magistrate Carol Kmei, in 2018. Are you following me so far?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. The prosecution had lined up 22 witnesses who helped in proving that Marango committed the heinous crime between September 6th and September 16th, 2018, at an unknown location in the country with others who were not presented before the court. The girl was kidnapped on September 6th, 2018 in Meru town while on her way home from Consolata Primary School. Her body was later found dumped in Gitoro Forest, Meru County, 11 days later. Kapolon's schoolmate had said she had been picked up at the drop-off point by a man whom she referred to as Uncle. A post-mortem showed the girl was hit on her head several times, inflicting serious injuries that resulted in her death. The court found the second accused, Francis Otudo, guilty of trying to earn money by false pretenses. Otudo had claimed that he was holding the missing girl and would kill her if he was not given a paltry 500,000 shillings. In a ruling by Justice Robert Limo, which was read by Justice Lucy Gitari at the High Court in Chuka, the court found that Otudo did not participate in the murder of the girl, but took advantage of the situation to extort money from the family after learning of the girl's disappearance on social media. Otudo was discharged on condition that he would not commit any crime for 1 year. In an affidavit, Marangu denied committing the crime. He further stated that he was a lover of the girl's mother, who he came to know in 2012 when she was working as a magistrate in Maua. He said he later interacted with the magistrate in court when his former girlfriend sued him for allegedly neglecting a child, although the case was later taken over by another magistrate. So are you seeing? Fella shows up in court
as a prison officer.
As he's a prison officer, number one.
So
Number two,
he comes to his workplace.
He's also been taken to court by a former girlfriend for neglecting a child.
Okay.
Meets up with the magistrate. They fancy one another. They start doing the business. However, it turns out later, magistrate says, you know what? This thing between you and I cannot continue anymore. He now allegedly kidnaps her daughter. Are you getting it so far?
Yeah.
All right. And then turns out that he has killed her. He added that in 2013, he got into a romantic relationship with Miss Kimei, which lasted until 2014 when she got transferred, but declined to disclose to him her new workstation. So she was done with this business. She moved. She said, you and I cannot happen anymore. Marangu said, no. He further stated that in December 2016, while working as a tutor at a university campus in Maua after quitting his job as a prison warder, Ms. Kimei sent him a message telling him that she had moved to another court but within Meru County. He added that their romantic relationship resumed and that it was then he came to know that the magistrate had 2 children. Okay. He told the court that he would often pick them up and that she would pick up the magistrate and her children for a day out and sometimes pick up the child after. So the child got to know him. He admitted to taking advantage of the disappearance of her daughter to extort money. He says he's not the one who kidnapped her, but he knew someone had kidnapped her. So he used it to get money. The judge...
This second guy?
Yes.
Francis Otudo. He just heard, okay, girl missing, so he's like,
okay, let's see how we can do this.
Right.
So the judge said the mitigation plea notwithstanding, the young girl did not have to die and did not have to die so brutally. Defense lawyer Elias Mutuma pleaded with the court to be lenient on the 2 accused as they were first offenders. But the court said no, the manner in which this girl died, we're not going to allow that to just pass. She was an innocent child full of love who even embraced a man who would later end her life and give her body to wild animals for food. The judge added that he had no suitable words to condemn such a heinous act, but only through a severe sentence, and that sentence is 40 years.
Wow. Can you imagine the innocence of the young girl as she's walking from school with her friends? She sees Kimathi. She recognizes Kimathi. She tells her friends, "Who ni uncle?" She walks off with him.
And then 11 days later, they find her body in the forest.
It is such a yeah.
I mean, terrible.
Oh yeah.
Terrible.
Wow. That's a sad one. That's a sad one. City?
Yes. You know, this story of bushmeat, I'm actually going to give an abbreviated, because as I read it, one of the things that struck me, it's very odd. You see, where there's wildlife, the communities around who live with and among the wildlife always hunted.
Yes.
But it was for sustenance. The reason why it becomes big news now, it's gone commercial. So it isn't just a question of someone going to hunt so that the family can eat for the week. No. It's hunting and killing large numbers of animals so that you can actually sell it. Did you know, for instance, that in DRC, an estimated 1 million tons of bushmeat is taken to the urban market every year? Did you also know that in Central?
1 million tons of bushmeat.
Yes, and did you know that in Central?
This is global or just...
This is DRC.
Alone.
Yes.
DRC.
DRC.
1 million tons.
Yes.
That's 1 billion kilos.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Central and West Africa, 5 million tons of bushmeat yearly.
What?
Yes. So when you look at...
what's the consumption per capita? Every human being in the DRC is consuming what? Like
what? There are around 200 million people in DRC, so you can do the math. That region of West and Central Africa.
Someone is eating about 50 to... Or is it 500 kilos a year?
It's in a year. It is very, very possible with the greatest of ease.
Wow.
So when you look and you...
So Ruto was saying there are no cows. Okay, there's no alternative source of meat.
The thing is this.
Right. Uh-huh.
Bushmeat doesn't require you to look after. It's there. You just need to go and hunt. It was just around the corner. You just need to go and hunt for it. But we have a similar problem in Kenya, because if you look at some of the counties that border our national parks, you find a similar story. But in our case, during the rainy season, poaching goes down. And the reason is because people go back to farming. So essentially, what this story tells us is that people have found this as a ready alternative to what? To making money. It's business. It's not just poaching. It is business. Okay. Now, when you look at the average trader who deals in illicit, what you call bushmeat in this country, and I'm talking about this country, Kenya, and the average earnings are between $300 to $500 per month.
Yeah.
For many people, and remember, these aren't people who live in town. They live in the rural areas. They live in their homes. Okay? It makes for a very decent amount of living. As I said, you simply go and look for it, kill it, and sell it. Of course, there's a risk of Kenya Wildlife Services.
Yeah.
But I think they consider that to be a small risk. And also, for anything to flourish, and yet there is security that is supposed to prevent it, you cannot rule out collusion.
There have to be very many players in this game.
Yes.
There's a whole chain.
Yeah.
There's a whole chain, that's for sure.
Yeah. Higher. Guess what, City?
Well, I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Police in Nairobi have now revealed that a car reportedly taken from a parking lot in Pangani Estate, in which is at the center of the Pakistani journalist Arshad Sharif's killing, was not stolen, as earlier reported.
Right.
Initial reports in Sharif's shooting on Sunday night indicated that the car had been reported stolen at Pangani police station by one Douglas Wainaina. This is not even the story that we were reading yesterday. It was that one Douglas Wainaina had reported that his car has gone
missing.
Okay, it's the same thing. It's just that we understand. Reported stolen by one Douglas Wainaina. It's not stolen by Douglas. It is reported by Douglas.
Reported by Douglas.
Okay.
It's like how you say, I owe you money, but they owe me 4 million, but I'm to pay them.
Kizungu menikanganya hapa kidogo bwana. The car had been reported stolen at Pangani police station by Douglas Wainaina. What do you understand? Who stole the car?
Douglas.
Wainaina.
According to English, the way they have set up the sentence, it is Douglas who stole the car.
So Douglas didn't steal the car?
No, Douglas reported.
Douglas is the subject of the reporting.
Okay, but according to the report, he reported what he had stolen.
According to what's been written here, this
He
story
also
by Kamore
reported
Maina
and
and Mike Haki.
And stole.
He is said to have reported that the car was stolen from the parking with his son in it. Detectives then circulated the registration details of the car, KDJ 700F. It's still not clear what led to officers opening fire on another car, KDG 200M, dozens of kilometers away in Kajiado County, being driven by Sharif's brother. The journalist was on board the car and was shot dead. Police maintained that it was a case of mistaken identity and that officers opened fire on the car and its occupants after they defied an order to stop at a roadblock. So far, 4 GSU officers have recorded statements with the DCI in Kiserian over the matter. Yesterday, police established that Wainaina's 26-year-old son, Duncan Wainaina Kamau, who was earlier believed to have been abducted and was inside the stolen vehicle, drove the car from the parking without his father's authority. He's 26 years old. Yesterday, the man and son appeared at Makadara Court, where Duncan was charged with unlawfully using his father's vehicle. After Duncan was charged, his father, a pilot based in the Netherlands, filed an application before Makadara Senior Resident Magistrate Monica Kivuti, seeking to forgive him. According to court papers, at about 8:30 p.m. on the day Sharif was killed, Wainana had asked his son to park the vehicle off the street and wait for him as he went to buy some electric cables. Reportedly, 10 minutes later, the pilot returned from the shopping, only to find the car and his son missing. He tried calling Duncan several times, but the calls went unanswered. He took a bike to go around the place with the hope of locating him. In vain. That's when it hit him. Oh my goodness. My son may have been carjacked. He reported the matter to Pangani police station 40 minutes later. This prompted the officer in charge of crime branch to alert officers from DCI Starehe who were on patrol to commence a search of the car. Pangani Starehe. Through their radar, Duncan's mobile phone was traced to Rongai, which later changed to Kiserian and Olepolos Hills. When Duncan noticed that his father had called him 14 times, he called back to inform him, I'd gone to an event at my mother's place in Kiserian and I have the vehicle. Chill, man. He reportedly said his phone had been on silent mode. The two agreed to meet at Total petrol station in Kiserian, where Duncan was arrested and later booked at Pangani police station. The white Mercedes-Benz was towed to Pangani police station. Police said the vehicle...
Stop.
Hold on.
Where's the Mercedes-Benz come from?
The pilot's car is a white Mercedes-Benz, registration KDJ 700F.
Sorry, please.
And the story that we
read yesterday about it being a white what?
The stolen car is a white Mercedes-Benz, registration KDJ 700F. The car that the pilot was driving is a white Toyota Prado Land Cruiser V8, registration KDG 200M.
So connect the dots.
KDG 200M, KDJ 200F.
Two different
Is it possible
makes.
for vehicles
Two
to be so...
makes.
Man, they're so different.
Come on. They can't be more different.
Okay.
Now, we don't know whether this is a Mercedes is a four-wheel drive, right?
Yeah.
It's a Lexus, and it's in the middle of the night.
So it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Okay. You okay?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm just even...
One of the things that the story yesterday actually pointed out is that it wasn't clear whether when these things were being reported, they had actually indicated the car's make and color.
Bas. So you are GSU, KD 00 something.
White car.
White car. Stop. You don't stop.
But even the number plates are
Havana
different.
seen ile gari bwana.
Si tumeambiwa gari ya white. So no. But if we're talking, remember how we had the conversation between two of yourselves yesterday? Prado VX TX V8.
Yes, and this is now we've got Mercedes-Benz. You know the VX-TX thing, four-wheel drives, SUVs.
Let's hear the news. It's okay, City. Take yoga. It's 7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. The appointment committee in the National Assembly has unanimously rejected the appointment of Penina Malonza as Tourism Cabinet Secretary. In the selection report, Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah said the committee led by Speaker Moses Wetangula approved the selection of 21 other CS nominees. However, Minority Leader Junaid Mohammed said the Azimio coalition submitted a report rejecting the nomination of Aisha Jumwa and Mythica Linturi on the basis of them facing various cases in court.
This House rejects the appointment of the Honorable Penina Malonza, OGW, as a Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage. Honorable members, this is just the notice to the motion The motion will be there, you will debate.
That there is a minority report attached to the main report for discussion in this House that is rejecting the nomination of Honorable Aisha Jumwa and Honorable Linturi, Mr. Speaker. The people being rejected are not only one person. We are rejecting 3 people in total, Mr. Speaker.
But why was Penina Malonza rejected by all 21 committee members? In the report, the committee members questioned Penina's ability to manage the activities of the Ministry of Tourism after she failed to explain herself during the vetting process.
I mean, it is normal for one to be a stage fright. It's a singular event. We cannot use that singular event to deny the women of this country an opportunity to serve.
We were not looking at gender, Madam Speaker. We were looking at the suitability and the competence of that individual to hold that high office of a cabinet secretary, Madam Speaker.
What is out of order, Honorable Makali Mulu?
I think when he says that they were not looking at gender, that is unconstitutional. The Constitution demands that they must consider gender as one of the key factors when looking at these things.
Linturi and Jumwa were rejected by Azimio representatives due to the cases they have in court.
EACC further stated that it had received adverse reports against the following nominees. 1. Honorable Franklin Mideka Linturi. Allegations that he is in possession of a forged KCSE certificate and Bachelor of Commerce degree from Marathwada University in India, which he used to register for the Bachelor of Laws degree in the University of Nairobi. His Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of Nairobi had no issue whatsoever. And yet, according to the EACC, this is a matter which is still under active investigation.
The committee has, however, approved the appointment of Justin Muturi as Attorney General, Mercy Wanjawa as Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi as Chief CS, Ednah Duale, Alfred Mutua and Alice Wahome, among others, who were vetted last week. Still in Parliament and Vihiga, Senator Godfrey Osotsi has been unanimously elected to chair the newly formed Senate County Investments and Special Funds Committee. In the election, his Kisumu counterpart, Professor Tom Ojienda, was unanimously backed to deputize him. Osotsi pledged to ensure the new committee delivers on its oversight mandate on all investments done in the counties as well as special funds. Ojienda, who also spoke following the resolution by the committee, pointed out that the work before the departmental team is a huge mandate compared to that of the Senate Public Accounts Committee, as it involved multiple projects ongoing in all the 47 counties. These as Homa Bay Senator Moses Kajwang was elected as chairperson of the Senate County Public Accounts Committee. The powerful committee oversights counties' expenditure. Kajwang, who was elected unopposed, will be serving in the position for a third time. He served as chair in the 11th and 12th Parliament in the 10th Senate County Public Accounts and Investments Committee. Kajwang will be deputized by Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei. On his part, Cherargei thanked his colleagues for electing him. And President William Ruto has said, Kenyans, you have to wait a little bit longer. Actually 1 year for the price of unga to go down. He says these will be made possible through the distribution of subsidized fertilizers to farmers who will plant crops to achieve food sufficiency in the country.
Wale walioharibu hii mambo ya unga mpaka ikafika shilingi 230 walikoroga hiyo mambo kwa miaka 4. Si ndio? Si waliharibu kwa miaka 4? Munipatie tu mwaka moja peke yake nitakuwa nimenyorosha. So Mosmos, hiyo safari ya kupunguza gharama ya unga na gharama ya maisha tayari nimeianzisha. Tayari tumepatia wakulima wetu mbolea magunia 1.5 million na tunawapatia ingine magunia 6 wazalishe chakula, ndio chakula ifike hapa ikiwa bei nafuu na bei ya unga tuanze kuiteremusha.
In the meantime, you have to spend a little bit more to enjoy that ugali. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
Okay, so we're still looking at traffic in many parts of the city this morning, and it's piling up. Let's take a look really quickly at the Thika Superhighway, which now coming into the city is heavy. Bumper to bumper, really slow. Want to use the service lanes. That is the idea this morning because it's backed up way past that Outer Ring Junction. Coming in from Outer Ring at Allsops, not too bad right now. Kiambu Road did magic, like 1, 2, 3, and there it is. That traffic that will be 5 lanes for some time. So you want to watch out for that as well. Coming in from City Park, Park, Limuru Road. That's where we'll see traffic this morning. It's building up inside there. We'll call it the entrails of Gigiri and all that. Traffic's going to spill over now towards Muthaiga Square, and then also other parts coming into Westlands, Peponi Road, etc., etc., etc. James Geshoro also really busy right now. Coming out of Lavington, Gitanga Road, Naivasha Road, coming off from Gong Road, that's already starting to build up as well. So we're seeing quite some traffic. Coming into traffic hour in about half hour or so, it's already going to be a busy Wednesday. Let's know what's going on where you are this morning, trying to keep things moving. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
Seven after 7, good morning and welcome to the second hour of the Situation Room this morning. This is the 26th day of October 2022. Today being Wednesday, it marks 6 days after President William Ruto took office as President of the Republic of Kenya. He was sworn on Tuesday, the 13th day of September 2022. Remember, if you'd like to own a home, this is the time to think about owning it. And everybody should basically just think about owning a home. So you're paying rent, right? Yes. And you're paying a certain amount of money, right? Yes. Let's talk about people who actually earn 150,000 shillings and below. You do not own a home, but you have a dream of owning a home. But then you look at the current market situation and you think, first of all, savings and then buying a piece of land and then starting construction, maybe some long journey. Or looking at the product in the market and thinking the interest rates and the volatility of the interest rates, I'm just not sure about it. Well, there's some solution for you. The Kenya Mortgage Refinancing Company says you can walk to your bank today. Just think about any of the big 9 banks in the country, where you talk about KCB Bank, Diamond Trust Bank, and others like APSA, or any of the 11 big SACCOs in the country. Safaricom SACCO, Utumishi SACCO, the Kenya Police SACCO, that's the one. There is a Steamer SACCO, and others. Walk into them, tell them, I'd like to take a KMRC-backed home loan. They will give it to you at interest rates of below 10%.
Can they buy off your existing one?
You can go and have a conversation with them. Go and have a conversation with them.
Yes.
Right? Yep. And the tenure is as long as 25 years. So it's something to basically think about today. And it's also fixed.
And it's great because even though, like you said, just giving that information, you said it before, but then also making sure as well that even if it does fluctuate, you're sure of a fixed amount.
Yep. This interest will not change. If the interest you start off with is 9%, it stays at 9%. Whether market rates rise to 27% or remain at 12%, yours is fixed at 9%. Gives you that surety of what you're working with going forward. Yeah? Yep. It's basically saying keja yako, rent yako should be keja yako. City, the day's proverb tafadhali.
Indeed. Do not catch a leopard by its tail. But, perchance, should you do so, then don't let go.
Do not catch a leopard by its tail.
Yes.
But should you do so, don't let go.
You die here.
You better make sure you don't let go.
Don't.
Why?
When I took the unsolicited position of being a leopard's advisor, it was with the full knowledge. It's one of the most vicious animals you can ever come across. So you get the impression that this animal is permanently angry, just looking for an opportunity to unleash the anger. And that anger is vicious. A leopard attacks you, and within seconds, the damage that is done is profound. It attacks with all four. It aims for your neck. It knows exactly your head, your stomach. I mean, it's 5 seconds. You, my friend, if you don't go to ICU immediately, you are done for.
Wow.
You become an ancestor.
Wow.
Serious animal, this. Very serious.
It's basically, this whole thing is, don't test the leopard.
Just leave the leopard alone.
Just don't test the leopard.
Tales are told, though, of leopards who are going about their merry way and haven't been bothered, have been known to escort people at night.
So you get where you're going and then they turn back.
Yes. They don't attack you. They just
walk behind you.
And the thing about leopards, they never really come at you in full glare. You see, you catch a glimpse of it. You told that's a leopard and you're looking where? Over there. Okay, I'm looking where?
Where?
Yes.
Over there, buana.
And if you're lucky, you actually see it walking across. It's not like it's running across. You see it walking across. And somehow it just disappears into the thicket. And that's it. It's disappeared.
Yeah.
The other animals, you see them for long.
Reminds us of the late John Mishuki and his famous words. If you rattle
a snake,
be prepared to be bitten by it. Okay. 6 weeks into President William Ruto's presidency, right? The man has been busy.
Yeah.
The man has been busy. The man, we are told, wakes up early, sleeps late, holds meetings, moves around, talks to people. He's asking people. He's made nominations to the cabinet. He's waiting for a list from the Public Service Commission for the nominees to the principal secretaries. He's waiting for a list from the Public Service Commission for nominees to Chief Administrative Secretary. He's busy.
Yeah.
Man is busy. One of the things that we look back at, 4 things that the president promised, the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, anchored on 4 and then 2 riders, right? Affordable housing, universal health coverage, supporting micro enterprises. What's the other one? It's the 4th one. Manufacturing, right? Big, and spurring a digital economy, right? And if you look at those things, so yes, he has addressed what is he going to do with the MSMEs. What is he going to do? He's taken action. Okay, let's talk with the Fuliza and the banks associated with it. What can you do so that people can have direct credit? What can you do about this and the other? When he talks about, agriculture. Oh, agriculture is it's a big one as well. Yes, agriculture, fertilizer subsidy. Let's go. So people can start planting. Agriculture, what can we do to improve on agriculture? On healthcare, he's still talking about it, but he's talking and he's saying we're going to do something about it. Further reforms to the NHIF and making sure that NHIF works to serve everybody. On housing, he's been busy. This week alone, the president has held 2 meetings. Last week, he had some other meetings as well, right? Yesterday, he was at Kibra, where he was launching this expanded affordable housing project in Kibra. And while he was there, President William Ruto has appealed to Kenyans to give him more time to lower the cost of living, specifically the price of maize flour. Ruto says his government will need a year to be able to lower the cost of living and reduce the price of essential commodities. Speaking during the groundbreaking for the Soweto East Zone B social housing project in Kibra, Nairobi, the president said the interventions that he has put in place to reduce the cost of food, such as provision of affordable fertilizer to farmers, would need a year to pay off. He affirmed his commitment to reduce the cost of living, saying that by providing cheap fertilizer to farmers, they'd produce enough food to be able to sell at affordable prices to consumers. On the cost of unga, the president said, those who spoiled the price of maize flour and let it rise to 230 shillings, did it in 4 years. Give me 1 year, I will fix it. What? Is that an interjection?
No, please. I'm just waiting for you to read the next part.
He, at the same time, abolished the Kazi Mtaani social security project started by his predecessor, Uhuru Kenyatta, saying rather than the manual jobs that the beneficiaries were doing under Kazi Mtaani, the youth would be employed in this kind of affordable housing projects. We are not only doing this because we need houses, but because we also need jobs. Kazi Mtaani is in the past. In this project alone, this one of Soweto, East Zone B, we are going to employ 2,500 youth. You'll not need to be going around picking trash anymore with that Kazi Mtaani thing. Kazi ya kokota takataka ni kazi ya governor wa Nairobi, Johnson Sakaja. Kazi ya you will be employed in mjengos. Okay? But let's focus on the promise of lowering the cost of living. One of those biting things that the president is having to deal with today is the rising cost of living. Cost of living comes from the cost of food. It goes into the cost of energy. Fuel prices are high and all those things. He says, I'm working on it, but people, not until at least a year is gone. I will not be able to sort this thing. I'm not going to come in with a magic bullet and make the price of unga go down tomorrow by putting in money and say, unga shilingi 100 tomorrow morning, and then you go and you don't find the unga shilingi 100, and then you start asking. No. I am an honest man. I'll tell you the truth. 1 year at the very least. What do you make of that?
Well, look, I think it, first of all, okay, kudos. The thing is, it would appear as though he is applying a market phenomenon whereby the market just needs to hit and adjust itself. Because if you've seen from anything, the issue of subsidies at whatever level is being thrown out the window. That it is very clear, or it would appear very clear to William Ruto's government and his administration, that subsidies will not be the way to go. It would be very easy for him to come out and say, all right, cost of living, we want the cost of living to come down. Let government spend money in order to make this commodity cheaper, because essentially that is what a subsidy is. We spend some money here, you get it at a lower price, whether it's a good or a service, whatever it is. But he's seeing that in the long run, it's actually hurting the government. So it would appear that across board, subsidies are being chucked out. Even as we're talking about maize, what he said about the Kazi Mtaani, because that's what it is that his government saying, come and work for us, come and work for government, and we pay you a little bit of something, right? So it would appear as though this subsidy phenomenon is not going to depend on it at all. And that's why he's asking for the time, because he then wants the market to adjust. He wants certain things to be put in place and certain things to be done so that you have no choice but to have more free flow within the economy, and then that would automatically start to balance things out and reduce costs over time. But like you said, it's not a wave of the magic wand. It's not a flick of the fingers. It needs to take time. So it would appear as though that is what he's saying. Others would say that he's using an escapist route to say, look, we said we're going to sort things out, but I need to at least focus on what's going on, and then I can tell you. But if one were to take a more economic approach to all of this, it would look as though that is what he wants to do. Allow the forces over time to balance themselves out. Inputs in agriculture here where he can make it easier for people to do business. Putting money into the SME sector and saying, okay, let's get people to do work and work in these sectors and then get those prices to balance out. I am going to choose that positive road to walk down on, and you shall not deter me this morning. That he needs 365 days to be able to allow things naturally and economically balance themselves out while making the moves in the market. Thank you very much.
City?
You know, this particular administration has their work cut out for them. The administration we refer to as the Uhuruto government had the onerous task of implementing a constitution. A really difficult thing to do. Now, this particular government has inherited something even more ominous. The ravages of COVID. Then you have a war in Ukraine which is responsible for everything, including the sale of bushmeat. Anything that could possibly go wrong will be blamed on that war in Ukraine. And then they have a drought that they had no control over, which has sent everything helter-skelter. Rising prices. Anything that could possibly be a challenge seems to have had a focus group discussion and decided that they're going to land at that particular time. Now, these are the tasks that this particular government is faced with. There is no government in the history of this country that has actually had to face what this particular government is facing. And then, they've also come in at a time when you have the Cold War. Somehow the geopolitics of this particular globe has also altered. All I'm saying is that the balls that this government has to juggle with are really many. They are very, very many. The unfortunate thing that they will face is that most people don't care whether there's a war in Ukraine, whether there is a drought. If there is a government, they want their problems solved. Because as far as they are concerned, even if they didn't vote for that government, that is their government, and it is the government's job to solve the problems that they have. So everything that we're seeing here could be summarized in, this is the president putting words to what it is his administration is trying to do to solve some of these really sensitive problems that exist.
Okay.
I would be grateful, though, if the statements that are made had a little more detail.
What is detail?
Detail is, when you say you want a year, what are you going to do in that year?
That is the time by which the fertilizer that goes to the farms, the planting season, planting, growing, harvesting, food in the market, food becomes cheaper. A year.
No. It's insufficient because
what more do
you are talking about, yes, you're talking about giving fertilizer.
Don't have to say how much now it will come down to.
Oh, no. That comes at the very end. It isn't just a question of fertilizers and farming. There is a drought, and the drought isn't decreasing, it is increasing. We have areas where there's still rain. I want to hear of a sustainable plan where when it rains, that water will not be wasted. And it isn't with dams. Dams are long-term projects and they cost a ton. We are talking about immediate problems, immediate solutions that will help. When you have the benefit of rain, what will we do? Because we need that rain to do the things that we're talking about. Fertilizer to a farmer who cannot plant and so cannot hope to get a yield is not useful. I am saying I'd like to hear of a comprehensive plan of how this thing is going to work and whether the year will be sufficient, because a year may not be sufficient. You may actually need 2 years, but there has to be a plan and it has to be stated clearly.
When His Excellency William Ruto, the Deputy President then, was campaigning, among the issues that were hot in the campaign trail was the cost of living, was it not?
Yes.
And the cost of unga was a big issue, was it not? And that's the time when, during the campaigns as well, and we called it here, I mean, this was a campaign gimmick, that's what we called it, when his predecessor, Uhuru Kenyatta, announced this 100 bob shilling unga thing with the deal between him and his government and the millers. And it wasn't clear how it was going to be rolled out. We were like, and it was timed to coincide with the period just before the election and conclude with the period just after the election. It was clear this was a gimmick, not long-lasting, nothing being said about what happens after, right?
Right.
William Ruto himself picked it up. And in the campaign trails were like, what is that thing that has been rolled out by this Nusumkate handshake government? He promised to take drastic action and things that would be more sustainable in addressing the cost of living. Now, at that point, he did not say, elect me president and give me 1 year.
No.
I'll bring down the cost of living. Many would argue that he also did not say, elect me president and the following day unga will come down. But he said, elect me president and I'll address the cost of living.
So this is him addressing it?
This is not him addressing it. This is him kicking the can down the road. This is him basically saying, you know what, people, this is the reality. This is not a new reality. to him. This is a reality that was here with us, all of us. We knew. What is it that was leading to the rising cost of living? What is it that was leading to the rising cost of maize flour? The maize shortage in the country and all those things. We knew. He knew better than most of us.
Because he was right in the middle of it.
Yes.
Right.
Now, yes, it's true that he comes and says, it took 4 years for these prices to go up like this. He has also mentioned the Ukraine crisis and the global crisis and the ongoing drought and the climate change and all these factors just coming together and they form a perfect storm that has led to where we are today. Okay? But people expect things to happen today. When the president says, give me 1 year, is that president, much as he may be speaking the truth, is he speaking to what he promised the people? Is he addressing the promise that he made to the people and the perception that he created among the people that I'm going to address this? Is he?
Yeah, of course, because when you're on the campaign trail, you know that there's a perception that you're creating in the minds of people, right? Yeah. You know that when you say something, the likelihood of them to believe you is then rather strong because they're almost at that point dealing from a place of, hope. That there will be a new leader, he will come in and he will do something different. But this was different in nature, is that the person who is running to be president currently sits in government and understands, right? But isn't that the bizarre thing? That the person who is speaking to you about bringing about such a change sits in the place whereby said mess has been created, isn't it? So then, what does it say of those who are listening to him and then giving him the vote based on those things that he's saying? That how can somebody who's sitting in that position make a promise to you of something totally different and that will come about in a very short period of time? What does that say of those who took it hook, line and sinker from his words?
We are assuming.
So then coming into the administration is one to then believe that he's come into intimate contact with the facts of the situation and said, hold on a minute, I have to retract on some of the things that I said to people and say, wait, I thought I would be able to do 1, 2, 3 based on my own assumption. But I've come and I've seen that things were really much worse off than we thought. And so because of that, I'm not going to be able to do the things that I said I was going to do at this time.
Give it some time.
But I need some time to be able to do that.
Say
Would one believe that he was not aware of the full situation as it was, being the deputy president of the country?
The assumption that the citizens of this country do not understand that campaign promises are just that.
Just that.
They do.
Politicians keep telling us that. Globally, politicians say.
Yes.
When you're promising blah, 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 off with their heads.
Yes.
We are done with that story, my friend.
You see, we have a case that not too long ago where a prime minister of a country and the gentleman who was in charge of the exchequer wrote a book.
Together.
Jointly. And in this book, they outlined some swanky economic magical wand that would be used. Then they did the unthinkable. They tried to implement it. It cost that gentleman his job in the exchequer, and it cost the prime minister, among other things, her job as a prime minister. The price of trying to implement something that was a delightful idea. I don't know what's going to happen to the book sales. I'm not even sure if they try to give them away for free, people will take them. But the point is this. It's something that one ought to read and understand. It isn't, I am not even sure that that plan could work or not. I don't know. But what I do know is this. Public relations, when it comes to politicians, has to be peppered very liberally with the truth. The truth about the situation Kenyans are in are understood with great clarity by the Kenyans themselves. We know. It's not that we don't know. And what a citizen is looking for, and that's why I focus on the word plan. How we will get out of this situation that we're in. And it isn't by hearing more promises. Not really.
So you want something more concrete, for example, from the president. He comes out and addresses and says, within this time, if we do this, this is going to happen. We do this, this is going to happen. You're going to see this and that happening.
Yes.
Some milestones that you expect to see.
Yes.
In that journey to the year
Speak a bit,
food prices coming down.
Eric. Speak a bit bluntly to the citizens of this country and say, folks, look, this is what we have in terms of reserves.
Yeah.
This is what we have in terms of rainfall and where it is. We expect to get a bumper harvest or a harvest.
Uh-huh.
These areas that are likely to be food baskets or bread baskets, this is what we are going to inject so that over this period of time, they will be revived adequately to produce this. A blanket statement of give me time, I will do this is inadequate. It doesn't tell you anything.
Let me play for you a clip of what he said, and then we take the break, okay? This is President William Ruto speaking in Kibera yesterday.
Wale walioharibu hii mambo ya unga mpaka ikafika shilingi 230 walikoroga hiyo mambo kwa miaka 4. Si ndio? Si waliharibu kwa miaka 4? Munipatie tu mwaka moja peke yake nitakuwa nimenyorosha. So mosmos hiyo safari ya kupunguza gharama ya unga na gharama ya maisha tayari nimeianzisha. Tayari tumepatia wakulima wetu mbolea magunia 1.5 na tunawapatia ingine magunia 6 wazalishe chakula, ndio chakula ifike hapa ikiwa bei nafuu na bei ya unga tuanze kuiteremusha.
Congratulations. You've seen the hand of the Lord.
Thank you very much. I've earned another title today, this morning at SpiceFM. Mama Justice, I don't mind it.
Joel in Kericho.
Salama sana Heri, habari ya asubuhi.
Salama bwana, mambo namna gani?
Salama kabisa bro.
Mambo ya Inamoi kuliendaje?
Mambo ya Inamoi, vile nilikwambia ndugu yangu, alienda asubuhi na ile gari ya kwanza.
I must have missed it.
So did I.
Even if somebody was to render you irrelevant, there is still work you can do.
Okay, sawa.
I deserve to keep you accountable. You deserve to give me a report. You don't work for me. No, I don't work for you. You work for me.
Do you like that Freudian slip? Lovely, isn't it? Thank you very much.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, Nairobi, now we're looking at cloudy conditions, going to highs of 28 and lows of 17 today. It's sunny at 13 in Nakuru, highs of 28 and lows of 12. Cloudy at 15 in Nyeri, highs of 27. And we'll see highs of 26 in a sunny Eldoret, currently at 16. It's raining in parts of Mombasa at 26, highs of 30. And we'll see highs of 30 as well in a cloudy Malindi at 27. It's 20 and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 32. And we'll see highs of 31 in Kakamega, where it's sunny at 21. Out in Kampala, the sun is up at 22, highs of 30 and lows of 18, and we'll see highs of 30 as well in a partly sunny Dar es Salaam at 25. It's 16 and sunny in Johannesburg, highs of 28 and lows of 14, and raining in parts of Lagos at 24. We'll go to highs of 31. We'll see highs of 32 in a rainy Kinshasa, currently at 25.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life.
Not doing too badly on the Thika Superhighway this morning. Coming in from the drive-in is where you see some traffic. Folks are still going to opt to use the service lanes, however, to stay away from that bumper-to-bumper traffic that takes you then from the drift out towards the underpass. On Mombasa Road, I think traffic may have been a thing of the past now, except right at that Imara Daima stretch, and then you get to General Motors, and then you should be all right. But before that, it's madness, and I don't know why. So I guess that design flaw issue that they're talking about right there, General Motors, is and there's also some construction going on there to sort that out. So, bear with the folks. Bunyala Road is messy. It's going to connect to Uhuru Highway, and it's going to go slowly. Aerodrome is also connecting there, getting out into the city. Gong Road is going to then touch on Haile Selassie, and we have some traffic into the CBD, though, via Landis is outbound and inbound, an issue. So we're looking at that, and then also going to that Globe Cinema roundabout. Very, very slow traffic today. The map says the Nairobi River is blue. Who can attest? Let's talk SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Keep things moving this morning.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, 24 minutes to 8. The room.
So, The Room is a place to find the best tech talent quickly and easily for you to drive growth and innovation in your organization. You can visit theroom.com and find out more about how that works. But, just off the top of it, if you're looking for the best tech talent quickly, easily, you don't have to go through lists and lists of people. They've gone through the trouble of training folks, making sure that they have the right skill and expertise for you who needs them for your organization. Theroom.com. Go in, take your pick, and get moving.
Indeed. And this is the Situation Room on SpiceFM, KTN Home and online. We're having a conversation about what the president has promised. He says, give me 1 year. I'm going to sort out the rising cost of food. Because it took a long time to bring it where it is. The plan, like he said, and you heard it in that clip, CT, the president says fertilizer is a key ingredient of this plan. Already distributing fertilizer to farmers now. More fertilizer will be distributed to farmers. Farmers then get to plant crop. That lowers the cost of production. That means that when the food is getting to the market, food will be cheaper in the market. And this, within a year, will have then normalized and brought down the rising food costs.
Which is,
that, he says, is the plan.
It is a plan, but it isn't the only problem that we are now facing with regards to food. Because are you telling me that all the areas in this country that normally produce food have the capacity, even with the fertilizer, to produce the amount of food that we need right now to get us out of the quagmire that we're in? Are we saying, for instance, that we have a plan to ensure that we also increase the amount of acreage that we put to food production so that even when you have a problem such as this one, we will be able to have the sort of reserves that are actually needed to be able to keep the country stable? I am simply saying this. The government may very well have these plans in place. You need to share them with people so that they understand and they know. It is important to say them. It is important for people to actually hear. The parts of the country where this fertilizer is needed is a very small part of the country.
Yeah. But can it grow enough food to meet the demand? The maize demand?
Can it?
That's what the president says.
Can it? Even with
if you support the farmers, you increase the yield, you increase the amount of land under production in the breadbasket of this country, right? And you lower the cost of food.
Even in the best of
the
times.
maize that we consume in the country versus the maize that we need to import. The production of maize in the country is over 60% of our demand. If you raise that to 70 or 80%,
is that
if
what
you raise
saying?
the amount of, but that's what he said before. Go into that.
And I'm
subsidize production. Ensure that there's an efficient production system.
Yes. But even if we go by our history, even at the best of times, we always have a shortfall. We never produce enough to meet the demands that we have. It is the eternal truth. Are we saying that we're going to get into a position where we now will be self-sufficient in the production of maize and by also consequences we'll be able to have enough unga for ourselves?
Maybe not, City, but logically, if you're able to have cheaply produced local maize that is supplying at least 80% of the market, then you're doing something to do with stabilization of the price.
Yes, you are.
Because the only 20% that you're importing, then you also look at where you're importing it from.
Yes, we are. All that is true. But it's against a backdrop of situations where the very thing that I'm saying has not happened. And similar statements have been uttered in the past about how it is we are going to be food secure, how it is. I'm simply saying this. It's not a question of reassurance. A roadmap clearly stated is reassurance, because you then have a social contract and say, this is the plan that we have, and at every stage we're looking at it. Fertilizer being given, being sold, being provided, it's not a new story.
At lower prices, though, is a new story.
No, it isn't.
What are we talking about?
It is
if
not.
we're looking at the last period that we've talked about, we haven't seen maize prices lower in the last 5 years in Kenya. It hasn't happened. We haven't seen fertilizer prices lower in the last 5 years It hasn't been the thing. So if we're talking about, and this is what I was saying, the benefit of doubt. Okay, so let's throw a little benefit of doubt into this story. Okay, and we're saying that, all right, he's seen that we need a year, because if you look at how harvest can be, what you then have is that you have an inflow of food now into the market. You have more that you can now, number one, store, and then you have seed that you can then now save for planting next time. What is that? Where is this coming from? Because you then have lower inputs, which is what people have been crying about for the last I don't know how many years. That the inputs, agricultural inputs, the cost of them are too high, and so they're not able to make. Number one, they're not able to see a surplus. They're not even able to make enough to feed the country. Because of that. Now, if you lower the price over time, you get people harvesting how many times in a year? Twice. If you lower that price, what you do is then you allow more people, and then you're able to now stabilize. You allow more than to be gotten from harvest, and you allow it to stabilize. And that's why I said that year that he's asking for, maybe that's what that they have seen we can actually do. Because right now, who is producing? Who is producing right now to the levels that can feed the country, number one? Who is producing to the levels whereby you can now see a surplus and then have your barns overflowing? Nothing. NCPB has told us time and time again that the barns are empty, that there is nothing. And because of that, the prices have gone through the roof. The inputs are high, so inevitably, your end result, your outputs, will just be as high in cost.
Before the drought, we had other problems with regards to the production of maize in this country. And it was a situation where farmers would complain that they have grain rotting in the fields. NCPBA and their warehousing...
There's no A. It ends at B. NCPB.
BA had this problem where the storage capacity... BA sounds better. Or BB.
Okay.
You would find that even when we read reports of inspections of those very same facilities, you realize that even within those facilities, you would find maize that is rotting, and that they hadn't upgraded them to be able to do what they're supposed to do. I'm simply saying, look, we have an entire system that is in existence that is not very encouraging, and it doesn't bring about confidence, even if we produce.
So
and then,
even a new statement by a new president does not inspire confidence.
No, it doesn't. It's a statement. A political statement is always just that, a political statement. It stops being a political statement when you see the actualization, when you say, this is what they said, and they have done it.
And they've done this and the other.
Yes.
Would from what we are seeing now, would a situation as is, told by the chief executive of a country, as is, then elicit this kind of hope response? To say, look, folks, things are bad, and I actually did make promises. I thought I would be able to do it, but I didn't. And here we are. This is a situation, and this is what we must do. Would it change the perspective? Would it then elicit hope and say, okay, well, at least they're telling us the truth, and we know that we're all at ground zero. After all, the basement has no ground floor, and then we are working from there. Is that what we're saying? That if he came out and said, okay, guys, this is it. There is no barn, there's no NCPB, there's nothing.
That's what they've been trying to tell us, my friend.
But I'm asking.
The 93 mob in the National Treasury and all, there's that message. The message is, oh my God, we've inherited a dilapidated system. There's nothing that's
what
working.
They're saying. And they're saying in the year that is coming, what we are trying to do, by all the indications that they're saying,
is revive the bus. So that we can get back on the road.
Get back on the road. And then from there, those other things that we had then told you we'll do on top will come thereafter.
Which is okay, Ndu. I think my point is, though, that is not what they promised. At the point of promising, you want to be president, you have done your assignment. You know this is actually the situation on the ground. And particularly if you are sitting and serving in that parliament as a member of parliament, if you are sitting and serving in government as a deputy president, then you clearly have access to information. When you promise and you don't say, elect us, and within 1 year we shall bring the cost of food down. Elect us, and this hustler fund, we shall come up with a loan, sort of a savings and pension and loan that goes into the hustler fund. And then you get into office and you start giving this other side of the story. That's where the issues come in. There are people who are optimistic, and there's, for example, Majestic Ruler says, truth be said, let's differentiate politics and campaigns to win an election from reality with what's on the ground. We are all in this deep hell until a few things are worked on economic-wise. Let's be patient with Ruto and Rigiji. Mohomoja says the government has promised to so much. The cost of living is still high. The 1 year, as far as common sense is concerned, is perfect. I hope Kenya will produce enough by then. It's the only way. Shurage, the problem of food security is depending on maize as our staple food rather than short-term crops. Also, on the fertilizer, large-scale farmers will not benefit from the subsidy. Okay, so you see the conversation that's taking place. My issue, though, is the president came with certain expectations from the people, and he's managing those expectations of the people. He and his deputy are managing the public expectation.
Or did he know that was not true?
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah,
he clearly knew that if really the plan that we have, because the manifesto is the plan. The Kenya Kwanza manifesto is Ruto's plan. That's what he's implementing. The plan was based on facts and figures. There are people who had worked on these facts and figures. People who are in the engine room, Kina David Ndii, Kina Owalo, and others, who were working on crunching the numbers and then coming up with a plan. The plan was showing them, really, you cannot bring down the cost of maize flour immediately if you don't go the subsidy way. If you're going into the production way, then you have got to wait for another whole cycle. They didn't say it. He didn't say it at Kasarani when he was launching the manifesto. He didn't say it. If the plan was the Hustler Fund to be a SACCO, he didn't say it.
No, he didn't.
He didn't.
He said otherwise.
And now when he says this, so the issue started rising. Is the public being managed by the national leadership? The deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, it's not that I doubt the president's sincerity now on saying, you know what, I'm working hard on it. Or the deputy president, when he says, we'll work on it. After all, the deputy president has told us, I'm a good man. He's a hard-working man, an honest man, a prayerful man, a family man who wakes up early, sleeps late. Him and William Ruto do not take alcohol. They work hard for this country. Believe them. But be truthful, completely truthful.
You know, there's a reality that sometimes I think is not clearly understood. And that reality is what it is that you deal with when you actually have this prize that you were gunning for.
Mm-hmm.
There are many things that you may have thought you could do, and then you get to it and realize this thing can't actually be done the way I thought it would be done. Because it is not someone else who's doing it, and you're in the position of saying they're not doing it well. It is now you who is in that position, and it's a completely different kettle of fish. Now, the reality that I speak of, I think, is what is dawning on our leaders. That this thing is not quite what we thought it was. And the plans we have, good plans as they are, they cannot actually be implemented the way we said we were going to implement them. Now, it's just a simple reality check for any leadership. When you sit on that seat, it's a completely different thing. Different ball game completely.
It can't be completely different ballgame when you sit on that seat if you've served as a deputy president.
No, it's different.
And not
deputy and president, very
not
different.
Served as deputy president 75 years ago and then coming back into, oh my God, this is the new things have changed. No.
In the most immediate government.
You move from deputy president today into president tomorrow.
It is not
you
the same
have
thing.
access to the same information,
Eric,
CT.
it is not the same thing. You don't have the responsibilities.
Responsibility is one thing, but information is the same. You can't wake up and realize, oh, it's different.
Eric.
I actually can't do it.
Eric.
No.
Even if you have the information, you didn't have the power. Now you do. With that power, there's the immediate realization of limitations. The reality of limitations, even with the power.
I find it
that
difficult.
you can't have unless you're actually sitting on that seat of the president.
I find it difficult to understand that you would be so close to it and that you would not have an idea of how things really are. That you would not have an idea that the economy is in the doldrums, and then you can now, because even if you're going to project, you project based on facts. You don't project based on a feeling or an idea. You project based on facts. The manifesto said certain things. The manifesto, if many would argue that in terms of giving the detail as to what was going to happen, it's one of the best, right? What was it based on? And where did you get the information from? Some of it is public knowledge. Others is inference based, again, on facts. So this is the thing. Can you be a part of the presidency? Can you be and not have an idea? I think he did have an idea. But maybe he didn't know how to tell the people of Kenya, this is exactly how it is.
Having an idea and being on that seat and having the responsibility and the power, believe me, they are so different. It's night and day.
So if you know that, then you think he didn't? If you know very well, this is it.
If you know, CT, why should we believe you, CT?
CT, if you
haven't even been a deputy president.
CT,
I
if you
don't
know,
want you to believe me at all.
If you as a layman know, know that it is difficult, that it is different between being a deputy and the president, the person who is in that position, don't you think they know?
Look,
so why make the promise?
The reason why I'm telling you this is because I was a teacher for the longest time, and one of the problems I had when I was a head teacher was parents coming to tell me how to run the school. Now, it took me time to understand that part of the reason why parents were so opinionated and so prescriptive is because they had gone to school. So having gone to school, they assumed they must understand what the job of teaching is and what being a headmaster is. They really meant well.
Because their children
are there, yes. Teaching. But they didn't know what it meant it was to be a head. They had no clue. They thought they did, but they didn't.
Of course.
Because
they had not been teachers.
No.
Okay.
But because they'd been to school,
they
feel they understood.
When you left university, CT, you did not become a head teacher immediately.
It doesn't happen that way ever.
Sindio?
Yes.
You first became a teacher.
Yes, unless you...
And then you rose up the ranks to become a head teacher.
Yes.
At the point when you were a teacher, you had an idea of the powers, the responsibilities, the limitations that the head teacher is experiencing. When you joined immediately, you may not have had a clue. But as you continued serving, then you got the clue, right? Now we're talking about somebody with years of experience in cabinet as deputy president. They have a clue.
Okay.
They may not have the experience, but they have a clue.
Perhaps I should give you a different example.
Yes, please.
Somebody says them they understand people well and they understand the concept of marriage because they've been living with this individual, whether it's male or female, for the longest time. And they say they understand, and then they actually get married. And then they suddenly say, I think something is not quite the same as it was. And there's a question of what changed. You see, marriage has a life of its own, completely separate from whatever it is that you thought. It comes with its own realities. Not because you're living together, because you have taken the step of formalizing this particular institution. I am simply saying there are certain realities that you cannot know until you are actually in the position where you have no choice but to face it head on. That's all I'm saying. And I'm saying that my observation over time, Eric is right, I've never been a deputy president, I've only been a headmaster. But what I do understand is that when you are actually in that position, many wonderful ideas that you have are now at that point put to the test. And you suddenly find, hey, these ideas can't quite work the way I thought they were going to work.
Very good.
Now the juggling begins.
I go back to the other points. It is the same thing. If you know that, and I know that, if we are saying that is the case, that being deputy president doesn't really prepare you for being president.
It prepares you,
but it doesn't
it's
really
not
give
being
you.
president.
It doesn't give you a front row seat, visors on everything about being president, right?
It doesn't give you hands on the wheel. You're on front row.
70% you can see the car being driven.
You're
but you know
co-driver.
that before being president.
Yes,
you know that. That's not really the thing. So this is the point that Eric was also trying to make. Don't make the promise then.
Actually,
don't make the promise. If you know very well that you will not be at the point of experience, don't make the promise.
You actually believe
maybe we should turn it the other way around. Should the people excuse the person who comes into office because they shouldn't excuse them.
Should they excuse? Because
you've given us the example of Liz Truss. Liz Truss, as she was campaigning to take over the leadership of the Conservative Party and become the Prime Minister, when they were doing all those debates and all, she was coming up with the ideas. This is what I want to do.
Yes,
and it's based on that she got the position. And she started executing it. And it flopped monumentally.
It executed her.
And she is out. Okay?
Yes.
President William Ruto was elected by many on the basis of the promises that he made, the plan. The plan is, this is how we shall go about it. I promise to lower the cost of food. I promise to support MSMEs and spur economic development at that micro level and medium level. I promise to increase housing so people can have decent, affordable houses to live in. I promise to support our agriculture. I promise. He promised all these things. This time, he's executing it. And he's going about it. When he was launching the affordable housing project yesterday, it's part of the promise, it's part of the plan. He's executing the plan. When he was launching the agriculture subsidy for fertilizer, it's part of execution of that plan. When he has been meeting with healthcare stakeholders, it's part of that execution. Going to the Nairobi Securities Exchange, part of the execution. The promise for the 1st of December, launch of the Hustler Fund, part of the execution. It is the execution then that raises the questions. Is this in line with what you promised? Does it make sense according to what you promised? Those are the questions. Okay. Should the public just say, okay, yeah, well, yeah, you know.
Wasn't really the president,
there's a war,
so,
there's Putin's war in it.
By the way, that is not what I am saying. I am saying that there is a need to understand that the reality of certain things will not dawn on you until you are at the helm. You are sitting there. So promises, yes. Implementation, yes. But other realities that you may have thought you understood, when you're now confronted with them, you realize this color wasn't blue. This color was actually yellow. Right. I just didn't see it properly, or orange. All I'm saying is that there's a need to understand and explain, not to excuse reality. And because of that reality, that's what I'm saying.
Give him time.
No, I am not saying give him time. I am saying clarity is necessary.
Or you're taking it to him. So it's upon him to come out and communicate in a better way.
Yes.
And tamper down on his promises and pledges.
And say reality is this, folks. You know, a new government has so many opportunities. One of them, you're given the benefit of doubt.
At the very beginning of the administration.
Take advantage of it and create a narrative that people can say, this person speaks honestly, this person does this. It's an opportunity. You miss it, it's gone, you'll be lumped with every other politician. In fact, we tend to choose the worst sort of politicians. Look at our members of parliament. Until they prove they're different from the previous parliament, in my mind, they're the same. Same. So they'll say, that's them talking.
It is 43 days into President William Ruto's administration. Liz Truss left after 44 days.
Good God.
William Ruto is not facing any kind of pressure like Liz Truss was facing.
No,
he still is enjoying a lot of confidence from the public.
A lot of goodwill. And I'm saying take advantage of that goodwill. That's what I'm saying. Take advantage of that goodwill.
Good points. Mr. President, we know you're hearing us. Take advantage of the goodwill. Communicate to the people. Make sure that everybody is on board with you as you implement this. As you say, let's take 1 year before the food prices come down. Tell us also what happens in the intervening period. Because the food prices are high, many people are falling short of affording the food. So what do they do? Keep it here for more conversations. In the next hour, we still continue about looking at the William Ruto presidency. Cabinet nominees are being vetted by the National Assembly. The debate continues this morning. We know the majority said yes to very many of the nominees and no to one. What's the fate of that one? How's it going to be? Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto has announced that his administration will not revive the Kazi Mtaani program. Speaking in Kibra constituency where he launched the Soweto East Zone B social housing program, the president said his administration will focus instead on affordable housing projects where residents, especially the youth, will be engaged. The head of state pointed out that the hygiene and beautification projects where youths were recruited to plant trees and collect back garbage will be undertaken by the Nairobi County government.
Mambo ya kazi mtaani ni mambo zamani. Ile kazi mtaani ya kuokota takataka na nini hapana. Tuachane na hiyo. Sasa kazi itakuwa hii. Ninyi mnanielewa? Sikizeni. Hiyo kazi ya mtaani. Hakuna kazi ya mtaani tena. Kazi ni hii ya kujenga manyumba hii. Kazi ya kuokota takataka ni ya Gavana Sakaja. Aokote takataka apeleke kule kwa mambo mahali inapelekwa takataka.
The Kazi Mtaani program was initiated by former President Uhuru Kenyatta and launched in April 2020 as a local economic recovery initiative and a form of social protection mechanism designed to cushion the youth and vulnerable citizens in informal settlements from economic hardship. Now, for police officers who were part of the Special Services Unit that was dissolved by President William Ruto will today know whether they will be released on bail or they will spend more time behind bars. Chief Magistrate Diana Mochachi is expected this morning to decide whether the police will continue to be remanded so that the investigative team can continue with their investigations or not. The four Chief Inspector Peter Mude, Corporals Francis Ndonye, Joseph Mbugua and John Kamau are detained for alleged involvement in the kidnapping of Mohammed Said Sami, Zulfikar Ahmed and their taxi driver Nicodemus Monia, who went missing in July near the Ole Sereni Hotel in Nairobi. The prosecution wants the four to continue to be detained for 30 days to enable them complete the investigations. However, through their lawyer Dunstan Omari, they have objected their detention, saying that the Internal Affairs Unit of the police, which has brought them to court, does not have the authority and jurisdiction and that the cases should be handled by IPOA. In addition, lawyer Omari has claimed that the four are being pressured to be witnesses against the former head of DCI, George Kinoti, which they have refused.
The framing of the holding of the OB is not specific to who they abducted, to who they were doing a felony to who they abused their office. My clients are saying they were not part of the arrest, of the disappearance, of the torture, or of the killing, or the disappearance of those two foreigners plus one Kenyan. They were being promised that if they frame people, they will be put under witness protection. My clients refused to that and said they have not committed a crime.
The IAU insists that the four officers were part of the team that kidnapped the three on the night of July 22nd and 23rd. Now, President William Ruto has congratulated the new United Kingdom Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who was sworn into office following his election by the Conservative Party. In a statement, the president noted that Kenya looked forward to continuing the historic partnership and to using emerging opportunities for the mutual benefit of its people. He indicated that he was proud of the achievements made over decades of collaboration between the two nations. Britain's King Charles III appointed Sunak as the second Prime Minister of his reign shortly after accepting the resignation of Liz Truss. Now, Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja has rejected a 500 million shillings budget that has been allocated to his office for the construction of official residency for him and his deputy, Njoroge Mushiri. Governor Sakaja, who spoke in Kibra when he accompanied President William Ruto to launch the Soweto East Zone B social housing program, said that his administration's priority is bettering the lives of Nairobi residents and not the construction of his official residence. Sakaja said the money will instead be used to build markets which will benefit small and medium-scale enterprises in Nairobi. Early this year, the City Hall revived plans to acquire lavish homes for the new Nairobi governor and deputy at a hefty cost of 500 million shillings. And the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has moved to court seeking to recover 10 parcels of land valued at 2.4 billion shillings belonging to Kenya Airports Authority. In the suit filed at Mombasa Environment and Land Court, the anti-graft agency noted that Moi International Airport is the owner of the parcels of land. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
There's traffic on the Thika Superhighway this morning and it's coming into the CBD. It's not too heavy though. We're just looking at spots of it that you get past Allsops, out past Survey and then towards Pangani. You should be all right there. Kiambu Road, different story. Pockets of traffic in and outbound, but it's the lanes that are coming in towards the Muthaiga Square. We're looking at Westlands, also pretty busy, coming off James Gishuru, and we're looking at different parts, coming off Dennis Pritt and Zima Springs. Everybody's touching on James Gishuru, trying to get towards Waiyaki Way. It's going to take some time to do that, so just keeping an eye on things this morning. What else are we looking at? Coming off Mombasa Road, you should not have a problem. In and outbound traffic is flowing relatively smoothly. On Gong Road, heading into the city, that's a totally different story. You're going to touch on Naivasha, Gitanga, and going off all in that direction. Jogo Road not doing too badly this morning either. Let's circle back in about half an hour and see what it looks like. SpiceFM Kate, you on Twitter, talk to us there and try to keep things moving and safe while you're at it.
Seven minutes after 8. Good morning and welcome to the third hour of the Situation Room this morning. Still live on SpiceFM, on KTN Home, online on YouTube and Facebook. A very good morning to you if you're just joining us. Our friends in Kilifi. Salam Kaze.
Memkaje.
And then how do you respond?
Dalamka.
Salamka.
Yes.
Kumbuka yale ukienda Kilifi bana.
Yeah.
Sawa. City has the day's proverb.
Yes. Do not catch a leopard by its tail, but if you do, should that happen, don't let go.
Do not catch a leopard by its tail.
No, don't.
However, should you be stupid enough to do so?
Should be not even stupid, deranged.
Should stupidity bring you to that level?
Where you've decided to reach the penultimate
and you just
level.
find the leopard's hand in your hand, the leopard's tail in your hand, and you're like, oh my God.
I've got the tail.
Don't let go.
Don't.
Or you will die.
Where? Our guest this morning is Gabriel Muthuma. Gabriel is a policy and governance expert. He joins us in the Situation Room. Good morning, Gabriel.
Good morning to you in studio and to our viewers.
Karibu sana to
Asante
the hot
sana.
seats
Asante sana.
of Kenya's biggest conversation.
Asante sana.
What's a governance and policy expert? What does that mean? What do you do? How does that make you money?
Well, first of all, I do a lot of things. But when you talk about policy, is where you develop, articles that most of us, go by. Like, for instance, I can bring it down to what you do. You're guided by certain principles. You're guided by certain guidelines.
Yes.
That's what actually brings about a policy of how you operate. And the key to when we talk about governance, ensuring that what we have set in play is followed to the core, is what now brings in the entire platform of governance. But majorly, many people don't understand when you talk about the policy and governance aspect of it. Many people will think, you sit down in a kadak room somewhere and you create and you write. That's really not the bigger picture. The bigger picture is when it comes to implementation. You must implement it, people must follow it, and they must be able to do that which is contained in what has been written and set forth.
Okay. City, umesikia?
I have heard what our brother has said. I just don't understand it.
Stick around. Hang around, Gabriel. It may just rub off on you.
With time.
So, Gabriel, some big business in the National Assembly yesterday afternoon and getting into today, this morning. And this is with regards to report by the Committee on Assumption, the Committee of the National Assembly that vetted nominees of President William Ruto's
proposed cabinet.
And they came up with a report. And there was some unanimity in recommending the approval of a majority of members. And then there was some unanimity in rejecting the approval of one member. And there was dissent with regards to nomination of 2 members. Now let's look at the 2. So there was a dissenting report tabled in the National Assembly where 8 legislators who were mostly allied to Azimio rejected the names of Agriculture and Livestock nominee Mithika Linturi and his Public Service and Gender and Affirmative Action counterpart Aisha Jumwa, citing integrity questions. The MPs Opiyo Wandayi, Robert Mboi, Junaid Mohammed, David Kosing, Naisula Lesuda, Mishi Mboko, Abdi Shurie and Kaliba Misi said the 2 nominees had integrity issues thus not fit for public office. It's important to note, though, that Mishi Mboko did not append her signature in the dissenting issue on Aisha Jumwa. She rather abstained from that vote. But she appended her signature on the issue of Mithika Linturi. Then they all agreed on the others, but they also agreed to recommend the rejection of Wildlife, Tourism and Heritage CS nominee Penina Malonza. What do you make of that?
But the most important thing, which I also read out of all this, and I think it should also form the basis of our conversation this morning, was they also tried very much, if you saw yesterday, tried very much to sanitize that situation or that rejection. When our nominee came to the interview, something happened which to me was critical. We immediately started, and you saw that on social media, and it was all over. And even where I was seated, people are saying, "Ay, uyo naongeaje? How is she talking?" So we immediately started judging that particular candidate on her articulation, not on her communication. And I think at this point we need to start really looking deep. What were we looking for? Were we looking for articulation or are we looking for communication? Because this person, if we are to be honest, and I'm not holding forth for her, I just want us to be very clear, and I just want us to be, at the very least, to be open and speak about it. What were we looking for? Was it that she could not articulate, or was it that we could not understand? Because really, I don't think there's a syllabus of becoming a cabinet secretary. And you can't tell me, because of what I saw, that she was unable to comprehend the office she was going to. I can tell you, most of the CSS who are passed do not have experience to the ministries that they are going to hold. You cannot sit down and tell me, the cabinet nominee for foreign affairs, our very good friend, the former governor of Machakos, has experience in foreign service. No. In these ministries, you have departmental heads and state departments where you have technical people who will assist you. So I think from the word go, we started questioning her ability to communicate. And I think, to me, that was a disservice to her. Because what we started doing was looking at how her lingua franca was going. Let's put it in another way, guys. If this interview was conducted in a language that she was comfortable with, or in, would she have passed?
Are you saying she's not comfortable in English?
To me, that's what came out. And that's what we are judging.
Did she say she's not comfortable in English?
No, that's what I'm saying. But that is what we are judging. Because let's face it,
Who
this
says
is
that's
somebody...
what we're judging? Let me ask you.
I feel it. You know why?
Hold on, Gabriel.
We talked about articulation.
Hold on.
We talked about articulation.
You watched all the nominees.
Yes.
What were you looking for?
First
when you
of all,
saw Professor Jogonan Ndong'u appear,
yes,
like you've said, Dr. Alfred Mutua appear,
right,
and you saw Kipchumba Murkomen appear, and Mithika Linturi, and Aisha Jumwa, and the others, what were you looking for?
First of all, I wanted to know if they have the grasp of things. One.
Grasp of things.
Secondly,
how do you know what somebody has a grasp of things?
Secondly, it's not through their communication alone. And that's what I want us to. I want to divorce that aspect of being eloquent from the ability of me understanding what she is saying.
How do you know that they have a grasp?
Now, you do that, which is quite easily, by looking at where they've come from. To me, that is more of a good judgmental platform than what she's talking about. I want to know, what did she do when she was the deputy governor of Kitui? Mm-hmm. That to me makes more sense. How did she rise from a junior officer at Compassion International to become a senior director? That's what I want to know. Mm-hmm. How was she able to rise from where she started at AMREF to the time when she was leaving AMREF?
How will you know that?
Yeah, it is looking at her historic technicalities that led to her being promoted.
So when you're watching,
that to
Gabriel,
me,
when you are watching, you see the MPs have the benefit of having the CV in front of them. You, as Gabriel, because you're telling us, the audience, that we are being unfair.
No, I'm not saying we are being unfair.
Don't
what
have
I'm saying
the
is
CV, so we don't have okay. So between 1985 March, she rose from this position in this organization to this one. How do you judge somebody's competences in rising through the ranks, if not by them saying it?
But you see, if we go by that narrative, that's why I'm saying we are going to do a disservice, because we expect if we are going to use that variable, to pass her, then that would mean the only thing she needs to be qualified for is to be a good narrator. And we are going to be wrong. Because everybody who shouts to the mic or is eloquent to the mic does not mean they are going to qualify and be able to do their duties right. We need to be very clear about that. And that's why you found, they say, not me, they say, some of the best conmen are very good speakers, are very good articulators, because that becomes their tool of trade. All right? But I think we were just too harsh. We needed to have, and I think this is what we didn't have. We didn't have more time to really interrogate. And that is why, my good friends, anytime you're given an assignment, you're given 6 months to prove yourself. Why are you given 6 months? So that people can see what you're able to bring to the table. Mm-hmm. Only this time round, we were too quick. And by the way, it started immediately on social media. The mere fact that she could say cheap, and people are wondering, what is she talking about? And many people will understand, did she mean the ship that will bring tourists? Is that what she's trying to communicate? No. Wait. The mere fact that I'm understanding her, and many people would judge her because she has said something.
It is not because of the Kamba connotation. When you are watching, I mean, come on.
Trust me, we are very bad judge of characters because the variables we use are not right. And that's why I was asking, when we learn, when we bring education to the facet of understanding, do we use it to qualify somebody that they have the technical ability, or do we use it for sophistication? We have to be very clear about that. Because if it means sophistication, then we are going to lose a lot. Tell you what, would you go to a doctor who's not able to articulate the lingua franca of the English, because that's the standard we use to judging people, but they are able to do what they're able to do with finesse?
No, I think that is the crux of the matter. That at the very least, that what you do should be, you should be able to communicate what you can do by what you say. And this is the thing, that if what is coming out of your mouth does not prove, even, look, and we're not even saying 100%, even to the barest minimum, that you would then be able to deliver. That is the issue. Because you must also remember that 24 people were vetted.
Right.
Why is it that they were all right with 23 of them and not this one? Why is it that whatever was communicated, because you cannot tell me that each of the remaining 23 communicated in succinct English, communicated in the Queen's English.
Right.
Everybody has a tinge of,
the mother tongue.
The mother tongue that you're referring to.
Correct.
You will not tell me that 23 of them then met the mark at all of this.
No.
But there was something about what they communicated that was enough, that was sufficient enough for this committee to say, all right, we are accepting, because and that's one of the questions that you asked before, what were they looking for? Whatever it is that we're looking for. Maybe if you sat on the committee, you would have been looking for something else.
Correct.
But that which they were looking for, 23 of them, they were satisfied that, okay, what we've heard, we have been able to make some sense of. In this case, they didn't.
And this is why I'm asking. Immediately they tabled that report.
Yep.
They went again to try and sanctify that which they had tabled. To me, actually, I found out to be a little bit weird. We're saying this person has has no integrity issues. You may remember, right? And they go on to say she is qualified as far as education is concerned. She has satisfied that.
Academically
qualified. She is top notch. And that's why I'm asking.
Integrity-wise, she has no integrity issues, no cases in court, never been taken to court.
And I would think, to me, that should be a variable that we should pay attention to more than her ability to communicate. See, I can understand probably where people may be coming from by saying, "Uyo anajua," because that was the narrative. "Uyo nakajui," and the way she would fiddle with papers.
But Gabriel,
this narrative of who?
Gabriel.
But you see, let me bring something to the works, and understand me here. It seems we were flawed in an area which we need to relook, and I'm glad. Let's see what Parliament does. Let's see what the bigger house does, because they may see another picture that we are unable to see. But I felt, from where I'm sitting there, I stand corrected, but I felt the way she articulated things were actually, that was the detriment. I felt that is where she went wrong. And that does not mean that the mere fact that she was unable to articulate the fine English or being understood very well may have actually contributed.
Well, you're right, because as Kimani Ichung'wah was moving this motion in Parliament, he said, yes, in terms of everything else, she's okay. But in terms of articulation, we did not feel confident that she is suitable for this docket. Not suitable to be a minister. She has been nominated to a specific docket. And it's not the job of Parliament to say, no, Mr. President, move this one around, move this one. You've brought Gabriel, and you said Gabriel should be the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs. And he comes here and he says, you know what I think we need to do is we need to make sure that that Kenya and Kazakhstan have good business relations, because Kazakhstan is the biggest buyer of Kenya's charcoal. And people look at you and they're thinking, boss, do you know what you're talking about? Basically, if you don't inspire confidence that you actually are suitable for that docket, the job of members of Parliament is to say, this person not suitable for the job that you are hiring them for. And that's what the committee was saying.
You see, and that's what I'm saying. By using that variable alone, articulation, I think we missed the mark.
It's not
and I'll tell
just
you, I'll give you an example.
Gabriel. You're reducing it to articulation.
To me, that is what, she has passed every other.
It's not just articulation.
But these things,
passed
Gabriel,
every
it is the
other
communication.
Sphere. No, she has gone,
Gabriel,
yeah.
These things you say she has passed, what are they? I mean,
we were told the academics were okay.
No. Forget even the academics and all that. What are the fundamentals in determining who is a suitable CS? I mean,
we were told the integrity tests were okay. In fact, you've raised a very good question. What other variables were there? Did they have a sheet to mark? That this one she has gone through very well. She has gained the good marks, because I know in an interview you have a general sheet where they say, how is he behaving? How did he walk?
There's a weighted scale.
Something like that. But You see, we've and again, I stand corrected, but I think we've put a lot of emphasis on our lingua franca. And
Again, it's you who's putting that emphasis.
No, it's not me. I wish you'd have gone on social media and you see what
That
people
is
are
social
saying.
media, because social media did not write the report.
No, but
Kemani Ishongwa,
he also talked about
who is the
articulation.
leader of the majority.
He also talked about articulation.
He spoke about articulation, but he also spoke about communication, and majorly communication. Did she inspire confidence in the vetting committee that she is suitable for the docket, the job for which she's been nominated? And that's what they said. For this particular job, we don't have any issue on the person. We don't have any issue on her character. We don't have any issue on her integrity. However, suitability for this job is what we felt.
Then what you have to define for me, my good friends, is communication.
No, it isn't.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
First of all, what is this criteria that people even use for nominating? I mean, we are discussing a political process as though it's some cut and dried examination where you understand the limits of the examination, you have a clear marking scheme. This entire process, where's the clarity in it? Do you know what it is that it takes for someone to be nominated? Let's start there. Well, what do you need in order to be nominated?
But this is
apart from being a politician, and then when you've been nominated and you've been given a job, what is this thing that we require you to demonstrate? And then how do you demonstrate that you are capable and you're able to do that very job? Ministers are not appointed because they can speak well and they're able to articulate well.
Need I say more?
No, but here we are. I think we need to
continue, City.
Finish.
Minister appointed.
Now you're going somewhere.
Actually, don't be too happy.
No, I'm happy because you said something.
No, but that's not why they are appointed. This is a political process.
Right.
Political processes follow political rules.
Correct.
You are appointed because you have shown a certain ability that suits the appointing officer.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the articulation. Nothing, none whatsoever. You are appointed because you were a good party participant. I'm using the word participant deliberately here. You are chosen because they want...
You're on the right side of rain politically.
Yes, exactly. And you want an element of diversity, and then what is unspoken of, the task that you'd be given, it is believed that you have the headspace to be able to do what is required on that job. Now, these are the discussions we're having here about whether she can speak or not. There are people who interview badly. You bring them to an oral interview, I've said it on this very show, they will interview badly.
Correct.
It has no reflection whatsoever in their ability to actually do the job.
Which I agree with you. What we are trying to do is the report that they wrote. What they said, she didn't qualify.
No.
Because we are talking about a rejected.
No.
A nominee that
before
was
the
rejected.
report, Gabriel, these are politicians.
Yes.
What is their tool of trade? These people trade with words.
Correct.
That's what they do.
Correct.
So
Gift of the gab.
Yes, so when they judge you with what they're familiar with.
True.
Okay?
True. And I think to me, and I'm glad you've said it, I think there's a master plan with the administration that's in. So I like what you've said because there was a knowledge that preceded her being nominated as a cabinet secretary.
Yes.
There is a knowledge out there that the person who nominated her, who is the president, was putting her as part of the grand plan which they have.
Gabriel, we cannot run away.
Yes.
This is the truth. We cannot run away from the fact that some of these appointments stand as rewards for people who are loyal to them.
Of course.
Okay?
Of course.
Now, look, as luck or whomever would have it, people who maybe in a different setting would have interviewed in the same manner in which she did. It just didn't happen in this one. It just so happened that they were able to pass the mark.
Right.
In a different situation, maybe we would be talking about them as well. But we cannot say that just that somebody was in the grand plan and therefore there was this government plan that they had and this person fit square for square directly in that. No, we cannot run away.
But at the same
we
time,
cannot run away from the fact that rewarding was done for nominations.
Of
You
course.
cross your fingers and knock on wood that they would pass the vetting committee, but in the event that they do not, then you're able to cut your losses and you move.
Of course that comes to play. Of course that comes to
A
play.
big
And it's
thing
not
as
only,
well.
It's not only a reward. There's another criteria of, gender balance. There's another criteria of the area.
Regional balance and all.
Balance. There's quite a lot of
But
criteria. What has she served?
There's something else as well, Gabriel. that the appointing authority is also playing politics.
Of course. It's a political process.
And one of the things that the appointing authority also wants to have is the approval by the masses that, yes, you have made good choices. Okay? And that approval from the masses is also very important. Right. And how do the masses feel that you made a good choice? Is by perception.
Yes.
This person's perception, do they have a good grasp of matters that were being discussed? Are they carrying themselves well? Are they appearing drunk in a pub somewhere? I mean, if a president hears that his minister is appearing drunk somewhere in pubs, and the president will take action. Even if that person is basically performing very well.
Correct.
So it's also very important for the appointing authority to balance between, yes, I'm doing regional balancing, I'm doing gender balancing, I'm looking at political affiliations and playing that game, and also looking at, all right, so this person, are they advancing my agenda of winning the public trust?
That could
if
be
the person does not advance your agenda of winning public trust, then that's a big issue. Now, if a person appears before a vetting committee and the public reaction is she doesn't seem to have a grasp of this particular docket. Remember, it's not a new docket that's being created. People already know what tourism is all about. It's one of the largest foreign exchange earners in the country. It's Kenya's marketing front to the world, right? It's a docket that deals with, looking at how can we promote Kenya internationally.
Right.
If this person then doesn't inspire confidence in the committee and in the people who are watching, there's an issue. And the inspiration of confidence is not because she shrubs. It's not because of how she dressed. It's because of how she communicated, her understanding of the docket. Everybody else, there was no issue with understanding.
No, let's play the devil's advocate a little bit. Kimani Ichung'wah, to an extent, talked about it, and also and you may have seen it when she started the interview. I think there was some backroom discussion because all these people are coming from one front, which is the Kenya Kwanza. I recall very well the Speaker of the National Assembly, Wetangula, telling her, relax. All right? So I want us to also talk about the environment.
Okay.
That environment
can be intimidating.
Indeed it was.
Yeah.
And Kimani Ichung'wah talked about other people, other nominees that were also intimidated by the very same setup.
Yep.
So I think we need, and that's why I was saying, we need to give some latitude and ask ourselves, okay, is that environment too harsh? And I understand where you're coming from. I mean, tourism is the gateway.
You're Kenya's marketing director.
Exactly. And also, to their plan, I also see, if you look at the number of hustlers, if I may use that word, who are within the hospitality and the tourism industry, there are many. As a matter of fact, if that docket used well can actually open this country to great frontiers.
Yeah.
But having said that, I also think we also need to qualify what are we looking for. And until we answer that question, we are all going to be lost.
Who's we?
Who's we
here? I've told you what I was looking for. I'm looking for someone who inspires confidence and all those things.
We as a country must ask what we're looking for, because we need to ask the ability of somebody performing. What have they brought to the table? We need to be very result-oriented than starting the meeting point at how you're communicating. Let me give you an example. Have you ever heard Pep Guardiola speaking?
Yep.
Have you ever heard of Jose Mourinho speaking?
Yep.
These people are leading English clubs.
Yep.
Right? How is their English? They speak ball, get. But we don't. We judge them. We judge them.
About, by the way?
Football managers of clubs.
We judge them by the titles and the trophies. And I think we need to get to a point where we are judging people by the titles they are bringing in and the trophies. I wouldn't care less how she communicates. If she gives me 5 million tourists.
Unfortunately, I care how she communicates because this particular docket that you're talking about, you're speaking on a global stage.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break, Gabriel. We'll be back shortly. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, 25 minutes to 9. Gabriel Muduma is a policy and governance expert. We are discussing President William Ruto's cabinet nominees and the one that was rejected unanimously by the committee. Parliament is going to be debating that again today, and they will vote on it today. It's largely expected that the plenary of the House will actually vote to save her, and she will be appointed. But is there public confidence on Penina Malonza to be the new cabinet secretary for tourism? That's a big issue. Anyway, Gabriel, when you're employing people for your governance and policy thing that you do,
yes,
you want the best talent.
Correct.
Highly skilled talent from across the globe, rigorously vetted, trained.
Yes.
People like software engineers, cloud developers, financial analysts, administrative talent, all those, go to theroom.com. There, you'll find good talent.
Room.com.
Theroom.com.
Okay.
And they've been vetted. Yeah. And Kimani Ichung'wa's committee in theroom.com has said, this person we recommend for employment.
We know it is cold, but Cold Stone Creamery has hot deals for you. This month, enjoy cups of rich and creamy ice cream, delicious ice cream cakes, and fresh oven-baked cakes at amazing prices. Visit any of our stores in Nairobi or Mombasa and indulge in your favorite treats. Cold Stone Creamery, the ultimate ice cream experience.
It's 2022. My friend, bado unalipa rent? It's time to say goodbye to your landlord and say hello to your own home, courtesy of the Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company. Hapa KMRC tumeiweka simple sana. You can now own a home through our affordable home loans at fixed, less than 10% interest rate and for a longer repayment period of up to 25 years. Tumepartner with your local banks and SACCOs for this. Unangoja nini? KMRC inakusort na dream home yako. Kulipia nyumba yako ni kama tu kulipa rent. Visit www.kmrc.co.ke to see the participating banks and SACCOs na uanze maisha yako in your own keja. Jijenge na KMRC. Rent yako, keja yako. Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company is regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya.
All right, so it's sunny in Nairobi. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 17. Sunny at 14 in Nakuru, highs of 28 and highs of 27 in a mostly cloudy Nyeri at 16. It's 18 and sunny in Eldoret, highs of 26 and lows of 14. A bit of rain in some parts of Mombasa, highs of 30 and lows of 24. And we'll see highs of 30 and lows of 25 in Malindi, currently at 28. It's 24 and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 32. And we'll see highs of 31 in a sunny Kakamega this morning. 23 and mostly cloudy in Kampala, highs of 30, and we'll see highs of 30 as well in a rainy Dar es Salaam. 19 and sunny in Johannesburg, highs of 28 and lows of 14, and light rain at 24 in Lagos, highs of 31 and lows of 24, and it's raining in Kinshasa this morning, highs of 31 and lows of 24. All right, traffic has not been too sticky this morning. Just seeing a few spots here and there. Folks still being advised to use the service lanes on the Thika Superhighway because that's gotten really clogged up in the last 30 minutes or so. Kiambu Road is also doing the thing this morning. Quite a lot of traffic there as you're getting in and out of the city, by the way. Coming off Limuru Road as well as going into other parts, Spring Valley and that whole area, coming out then through the Red Hill Link Road. It's really messy on James Gishuru, moving really slowly, trying to get out towards Wayaki Way. So you want to watch out for that. If you can avoid it, do it. Then going out towards Chiromo might also be an issue. So it looks like it's a wait and see kind of situation. Into the CBD, we're also looking at that as well. Coming off Jogo Road, not too bad, but Landis is getting a little bit buzzy, getting towards Kamkunji, right there at the roundabout. Still in traffic hour. Let's see what happens in a short while. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM. Nairobi.
Do, of course, CT Muga, and our host this morning, occupying the hot seat, is Gabriel Muduma, policy and governance expert. We are looking at President William Ruto's CS nominees, the cabinet vetting report, and what is happening in the National Assembly today. Some comments on social media.
George Odhiambo says, something would have suited that job profile. It would have made her lead such a high-profile portfolio. Such was meant for loyalists, is what they're saying. And this is in response to Andrew's question of why wasn't Rebecca Mayano nominated to be the CS Energy? So that's another question. Benjin Dolo says, what Gabriel Mutuma is doing is wrong. It's how we mainstream mediocrity and third rate only in Africa. Why? Jack Olang, on the other hand, thinks that you should have been nominated for a CS position. It is a policy articulation position. You have to be able to articulate policy. You have to communicate it, which is the truth. So when you lay this kind of emphasis on communication, you're actually disqualifying her more than the committee did.
Let's answer Benjin Dolo. He's my friend.
Uh-huh.
and the
Can I tell you one more?
Yes.
He says a CS position is a PR position. It needs someone who can articulate issues. Let her be absorbed somewhere else.
The reason why I gave you the example of Pep Guardiola and somebody like Jose Mourinho, if we were to bring those two people, assuming we are vetting somebody for the job of a national football coach.
Yes.
And we bring them to parliament.
Yes.
Do the very same thing.
Yes.
You know the first thing they would do? No, I would take a team, take stadium, goal, fix. That's how they'll talk.
Right. At least they understand there is team, there is goal, there is thing. Because of what? Because they have a background in it.
No,
now,
but their communication.
Hold on.
They are not good communicators.
If you pick, it's not good communicator, but
they are technical.
Actually very good communicators.
They are not articulating
in their own way. Articulate, yes.
But
in their own
way. It's not even articulation. You people are talking about prowess of the English language.
Which is what we are judging people.
Yes, and yet if this person can be understood, the results you speak of means they're able to communicate.
Yes.
This goal left, ball gone, whatever it is.
Communication is not only by word of mouth.
Yes.
So what we are looking for, what we will be looking for is the results. And that's what I look for.
And they're telling you very clearly.
You asked me that question is, what I would care more is if Malonza is able to move the 2 million tourists that we receive annually to 5 million. I would really not care if she can be able to articulate a policy.
Now, they're telling you by the way in which she spoke to them that day, they were not convinced that she would be able to do those things that you have said.
And what's more,
I've just given you the example of the likes of the coaches that we watch and the games that we watch.
Those people,
the other thing, let me
those people.
What arena are they playing in?
We want to pass the test.
Hold on. We are still on Pep Guardiola.
Yes.
Pep Guardiola has risen through the ranks of football.
Correct.
Pep Guardiola has been a player. He has gone into management training.
Yes.
He then comes, let's say the first time that he was hired by Barcelona as an assistant manager.
Yeah.
They were looking at, so do you have the pedigree? Okay. So as we ask you questions, do you understand the positions in the field? Left back, wing back, keeper, striker, the positions. Do you understand? If we ask you, so how would we win this tournament? And you are explaining, even if they are asking this guy, the Spanish guy in English, and he's using that broken English, but he's talking about, if we do this and the other, but he's basically talking the technical aspects of it. It's because he understands it. But now take the same Pep Guardiola and bring him and tell him run Safaricom.
Fish out of water.
And you're asking him those questions.
But
and the man does not show you that he understands mobile telephony, the technology. He doesn't understand data. He doesn't understand
telecommunications at all.
He doesn't understand market. He doesn't own all these things. If you don't get the confidence that this person actually has a grasp of what we're talking about, this person has done some bit of homework, he understands this industry, then you don't give them the job. Because this is their point. This is at the point of interview, Gabriel. You are saying that Pep Guardiola has applied and the board of Safaricom is looking for a new CEO.
Good.
And Pep Guardiola has applied.
Even though
because he's a very good guy, let's give him 1 year and see. Even though you've moved
even though you've moved our discussion to an industrial specific, I was still in football. You brought the telecommunications. That would then seek to qualify that any person who can come and entice us with the technicalities of telecoms would then mean, just because they know mobility, just because they know telephony, just because they know how base stations are hoisted, just because they can tell us the difference between a base station and a Pico base station, it would mean then they qualify for the job. Yet we have not just
if they speak like they understand then they also understand how to manage a business.
That is where we go wrong.
That is where we go wrong. The current CEO of Safaricom did not come from a mobile company.
That is where we go wrong, because this person will pass the test. They will pass the test of understanding, not doing. And we've gone wrong so many times with that, because what they will pass is what the marking scheme requires.
Okay.
You will satisfy the examiner, but when push comes to shove, you will fail. That is why, to me,
allow me to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
If you were sitting on the vetting committee, and try as much as possible to be objective.
Yes, I am. And I'm trying to be.
Now, if you were sitting on the vetting committee and she answered the questions, I'm not saying what were they looking for. I'm not even asking you to pose different questions.
Yes.
If you were sitting on the vetting committee and she answered the questions and she laid her claim, made her statements in the manner in which she did about the docket for which she was being vetted for, would you be comfortable in passing her?
What I'll be looking for, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. What they were looking for, that's why I said, what were we looking for? I was looking for a different set of things. I was looking for her coming and telling us, which she did to an extent. She was not able to articulate it, but she had a background of knowing the tourists, what she would do. Yeah. She mentioned, I think we need to do loco, even though, loco is now, with counties.
Well, still the national government has a lot of work of promoting
but we would able. She was trying to bring a marination of ideas, but she was not able to push them through. And that's why I was thinking, if you give such people time to see the results. I am so results-oriented, and I can understand if we make that interview, the gatekeeper. I understand that. But there is a reason why somebody who looks as if they can do the job, and probably this is where we'll all agree, will create confidence. But then that is also flawed, because we can take the very best person who knows how to divine and articulate, and they become failures. For instance, we are talking about, you said, on the industrial specific of the telecoms. What experience does Duale have in defense? And that we come to what he said. A political process follows a grand plan. The person who nominated them has a greater plan. Do we see that plan? Because he only knows the plan.
Or he's rewarding his political buddies. Come on.
It could be. But these people are not standalones. They will not work alone. There are officers within the state departments that will assist them do the job.
Absolutely, but there is a mark of leadership that at least they must bear.
I think what we need to run away from is the qualification of articulation, because I think we are flawed. Let me
you're
tell
the
you.
one who brings it.
No.
You came in and right off the bat.
I
Right
didn't
off
say
the
it.
bat, you
It was
said
in the report.
articulation.
It was in the report.
Look.
It was in the report. But it's like saying, and I'll finalize on that with this. Germans, when they build what they build, half of them probably, and again, stand corrected, most of them probably cannot articulate in English. But when they bring the science and their physics on the table, we don't question the standard and the efficiency of a Mercedes.
Let me go as far as saying, for example,
So-
she did not bring the standard and the quality of the Mercedes-Benz at that committee
This
vetting.
is what the
That
report
is it.
says.
Yes,
all
go
right.
ahead.
That
I like that one.
the nominee did not demonstrate knowledge of topical, administrative, and technical issues touching on the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife, and Heritage. Consequently, the nominee lacks requisite abilities and experience to serve as the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Wildlife, and Heritage.
Now,
They did not say
Now.
that
Cannot speak
that
English.
she
They
could not
didn't say
speak
that.
English,
No.
that she was using too many words, that she was getting mixed up. Did not demonstrate knowledge. Demonstrate knowledge.
and
Demonstrate.
how do you demonstrate knowledge?
You've just told us now that the Germans cannot speak English, but
Yes,
when they
but they
bring a
demonstrate.
Mercedes-Benz, you can
Where- so
demonstrate.
what
She
did she-
didn't
what did she
demonstrate.
put- If I was looking for what
Pep
she's
Guardiola
demonstrated,
demonstrates knowledge by mentioning
You remember?
striker, ball, field, goal.
Shoot, goal, manage.
I told you there's no syllabus. There's no syllabus. There's no qualification per se. And
Of
I like
course.
where he started. There's no qualification that you need this set of skill to become the CS this.
Actually, you do.
But
Actually,
when
there
you see,
is-
that's
there-
why I
there-
asked you,
there-
what's
there-
the
there
experience?
is.
What's the experience? Yeah. In some of the dockets that people have gotten, agriculture, what knowledge do they have in agriculture?
Demonstrate knowledge.
Look, if
Demonstrate
someone
knowledge,
You
at
must
least
define
of
that
typical
knowledge.
administrative and technical issues.
Let me tell you.
Okay.
Let me tell you. Then that's why I think
Further, they'd also look
we
at
need to think.
maybe you're not able to demonstrate, but your experience can bear you witness. Now, if she is somebody who has been in the tourism, wildlife docket, has been working for the hospitality industry in Kenya, has worked in any of the conservancies, or has worked at KWS, but they're here, and because of the room and the intimidation of the room, they're not able to articulate properly. But then this person has served in this industry for long. You could say they have experience, but there's an issue. Maybe let's give her a chance.
Do you know
But
at
if
the
this
end of the
person
day-
has not had any of those things, and then she comes and she's not able to demonstrate that she understands the issues.
By end of day today.
For example, just as I finish. For example, the other nominees, we heard, for example, Moses Kuria. Moses Kuria, when he appeared there, he said, I have held a meeting with people at the trade ministry. I have sat down with the outgoing CS. I've sat down with the PS. I have had conversations with them. And I'm coming here and I can articulate. Moses was saying, I've also served in the Trade Committee of the National Assembly. I have worked in the financial services sector as an investment banker. So I have a grasp of, so he has the experience and he has taken time to understand the issues.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Kipchumba the same. He's a lawyer.
Yes.
And then got into politics.
Yes.
But he spoke of, I have had time with the people in the docket of transport infrastructure.
Right.
I have understood the issues. I have interrogated the issues. What did Penina do? Did she give the confidence to the committee that, you know what, I spent time, I have met,
Also proactive
I
in
have
this way.
talked to people in the industry, I have talked to the Kenya Tourism Federation, I have talked to the Kenya Tourism Board, I understand what the issues are, I've talked to the hospitality union, somebody, I have dealt with this before, and I think this is a way to go. If she does not demonstrate any of that, then you miss it.
I think if she
And
wasn't
you cannot
briefed,
give it to her to give it to you.
I think if she wasn't briefed, then there's a very big and huge disconnect.
Who was supposed to brief her?
I mean, once you're nominated, you need to get briefings from the ministry that you're going to be. Every other CS I would expect by now, they would have gotten briefings, including her.
Including her.
Nearly safe, without a shred of doubt. Probably she was briefed.
Okay.
Right?
Did she understand it?
But still, you see, the understanding that I'm coming with to this equation is this person has been a deputy governor. I'd have expected her to know things, to be able to comprehend things, and to be able to deliver things. Being a deputy governor for 5 years does not necessarily mean this person has been there for all these years, she didn't learn something, or she's not able to do something. So we must qualify her with what she's able to deliver. What is she able to deliver? And that can only come
but
when
you know,
she
Gabriel,
has
this lady was very many things before she attempted to be women's rep and then became deputy governor. She's not an accomplished. It's not as though she's freshly minted and she's just come from some backwater
Wet
place.
behind the ears.
No, that is not the case, really. We are discussing a political process as though it is an interview for some discipline which requires some educational background and practice in the same. This is not the LSK, okay? A political organization, and yet you must be a lawyer. It isn't the KMA where you really need to be a clinical person, a doctor. You need to have some knowledge. This is politics. What do you need to be in politics? What's the requirement for being in politics?
What's the number one thing that a politician needs to have?
Yes.
Inspire confidence in the public.
Precisely.
Get the public behind you.
Yes.
Now, if you miss that, and how do you do that? Number one, give for the gab.
Actually, yes and no, Eric.
Well,
yes and no,
all
Eric.
the things that
our
you do.
Politics.
Well, there's money as well.
Yes, but what you need is you need the nod from a political leader, the kingpin of a party.
Correct.
That nod.
Correct.
You get that nod.
Correct.
These are things we're discussing here.
That's true.
It's good for discussion.
But even the
we
nod,
can talk about
even
it.
as you get the nod, the person who is nodding would hope that when you get there and you're standing on your own, that you can carry your own.
You see, you're speaking on behalf of the appointing officer
I am sure that President William Ruto would not want a situation where the person that he has nominated would go and show as though they are not able to do the job. I don't think so.
But I think
I will remind you too.
No, there's something
three.
there's something that he's bringing to the table.
Okay, let's
and I
hear
don't
it.
want it to get I don't want it to get lost. What she's actually saying is, which I agree with 110%, there are certain sets of likability that she had satisfied before she was nominated. Politically.
Yes.
That is why it's a political position.
Yes.
For somebody to have nominated her, for President William Ruto to have nominated her, there are certain levels of variables that she had satisfied, whether it's gender, whether it's regional balance.
And we are told he sets his bar very high.
And also,
he met a high bar.
Exactly.
She
And
met a high bar.
also, probably the politics of 2027 may have, also come to play.
It's at the center. It's at the heart of these appointments.
You get.
Okay. So, or should I call them nominations? No, but they're appointments.
Yes.
Really.
So there's so much in there that item that we pick on confidence, or that item we pick with what the report, this rejection report that they wrote. That's why, to me, I would really water it down.
Okay.
Completely.
In a way, because she has satisfied the most important things to me. Because to me, I need a credible leader. Yesterday,
Parliament.
24 people were fired from Safaricom because of M-Pesa fraud. These are employees. These people are knowledgeable. They are smart. They are skilled. For somebody to be able to fraud through M-Pesa, you know what you're doing. You need that skill. You need that knowledge. But they used it for nuisance. This lady, we are told, she satisfied that critical, important virtue
to the appointing authority,
and to even Parliament.
She did everything.
To me, that should be the guiding.
The public. She will be serving the public. You see, this is not just a game being played in State House. It's a game being played in the public domain as well.
Can I ask you something?
Even if we talk about the 2027 election, we have also to look at, all right, will the people which constituency she represents, which William Ruto hopes to tap, will they rally behind her simply because she was appointed? Or will they feel proud of saying, you know what, Penina, that's ours? Will they? Do they have the confidence?
Okay.
From what she's done, from how she performed in this interview, from everything else, do they have the confidence? I think that's also an important consideration. I'll remind you as we conclude of Phyllis Kandie in 2013.
Yes.
Phyllis Kandie, highly experienced, came from an investment bank, was nominated by the Uhuruto bros then to become the CS for tourism, wildlife, same. By 2027, the industry was the one that was petitioning the president.
2017.
By 2017, yes. The industry was petitioning the president to save her from the job.
Yes.
And the president listened.
Now, from what you've just said,
and they felt, I mean, she's coming. It was the same. It was about, initially it was about, okay, I'll give her time. It's about her articulation. I mean, Phyllis has come from a financial services sector. She's not been dealing with people. Just give her time. She give her time. That time came and went. And she was removed. She was appointed as an ambassador.
Put it in a different
same
context.
Thing.
Put it in a different context. What if Penina goes through? Let us just say if she happens.
I guarantee you, within a 1 year, the industry will be petitioning President William Ruto
to save her,
to ask her to be saved. We are going into the news.
No, let's not cast doom.
We continue the conversation after
let's
this.
not cast doom.
Hold on, Gabriel. It's 9 o'clock. Hey, 9 o'clock. We'll open up the phone lines after the news. Good morning.
The news at the top of the hour on Vibes Radio.
Good morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. For police officers who are part of the Special Services Unit that was dissolved by President William Ruto will today know whether they will be released on bail or if they will spend more time behind bars. Chief Magistrate Ednah Moshasha is expected this morning to decide whether the police will continue to be remanded so that the investigative team can continue the investigations. The four, Chief Inspector Peter Muthe, Corporals Francis Ndonye, Joseph Mbugwa and John Kamau, are detained for alleged involvement in the kidnapping of Mohammed Said Sami, Zufil Kar Ahmed and the taxi driver Nicodemus Mwania, who went missing on July near the Ole Sereni Hotel in Nairobi. The prosecution wants the four to continue to be detained for 30 days to enable them complete the investigation. However, through their lawyer Dunstan Omari, they have objected their detention, saying that the IAU, which has taken them to court, does not have the authority and jurisdiction and that the case should be handled by IPOA. In addition, lawyer Omari has claimed that the four are being pressured to be witnesses against the former head of DCI, George Kinoti, which they refused.
The framing of the holding of the OB is not specific to who they abducted, to who they were doing a felony to who they abused their office. My clients are saying they were not part of the arrest, of the disappearance, of the torture, or of the killing or the disappearance of those two foreigners plus one Kenyan. They were being promised that if they frame people, they will be put under witness protection. My clients refused to that and said they have not committed a crime.
The IAU, however, insists that the four officers are part of the team that kidnapped the three on the night of July 22nd and 23rd. The National Assembly will next week debate a bill which seeks the reinforcement of the National Constituency Development Fund in law by amending the Constitution 2010 through a parliamentary initiative. The bill, co-sponsored by Matungulu Member of Parliament Stephen Mule and his Gishugu counterpart Robert Gishumu, is pushing for the re-establishment of the fund and its anchoring in law to avoid disruptions on technicalities of the law. House Speaker Moses Wetangula mentioned that the proposed amendment, having obtained the required threshold of more than 50 signatures, had been cleared for debate. In the Constitution Amendment Bill 2022, the MPs are also seeking the establishment of the National Government Affirmative Fund, Senate Oversight Fund and Economic Stimulus and Empowerment Fund. And the Central Organization of Trade Union Secretary General Francis Atwoli met with Chief Cabinet Secretary nominee Musalia Mudavadi, where they emphasized the need for the Western Bloc to unite. During the meeting, they agreed to work closely in unison for the benefit of the people. They stated that they will be doing this by ventilating every possible option that was aimed at building the region's economic capacity and, by extension, the country at large. And President William Ruto has congratulated the new United Kingdom Rishi Sunak, who was sworn into office following his election by the Conservative Party. In a statement, the President Ruto noted that Kenya looked forward to continuing the historic partnership and to using emerging opportunities for the mutual benefit of its people. He indicated that he was proud of the achievements made over decades of collaboration between the two nations. Britain's King Charles III appointed Sunak as the second Prime Minister of his reign, shortly after accepting the resignation of Liz Truss. This as Rishi Sunak, the third Prime Minister this year and the first person of colour to lead the former imperial power, has vowed to overcome an economic crisis provoked by the mistakes of Liz Truss' 49 days tenure. In his first order of business, Sunak retained Jeremy Hunt as Chancellor of the Exchequer, bidding to keep financial markets on side after Truss' budget plans shocked investors, and also retained her foreign and defence ministers, among others. Sunak, a practicing Hindu who at 42 is Britain's youngest leader since 1812, became the ruling Conservatives' new leader after a prior stint as Chancellor himself. Addressing the nation in Downing Street shortly after his appointment by King Charles III, Sunak said the country faced profound economic crisis. Truss, chosen by Tory members over Sunak in the summer to replace Johnson, left office as the UK's shortest-serving premier in history. And the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has moved to court seeking to recover 10 parcels of land valued at 2.4 billion shillings belonging to the Kenya Airports Authority. In the suit filed at Mombasa Environment and Land Court, the Anti-Graft Agency noted that Moi International Airport is the owner of the parcel of land. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
There's traffic coming off of Thika Superhighway. It's dwindling though. Shouldn't be too much of an issue as you get towards that Pangani underpass. Whatever's going on Kiambu Road is an absolute mess and it's really heavy. I don't even know how many lanes we are at now getting into the forest, literally. On Limuru Road, also the same thing. We have some heavy traffic. Coming out of Western, it's not too bad, but James Gishuru is still busy as you approach Wayaki Way. State House Road looking a lot better now from what it was before, and that whole area into Kikambala Road and Lavington, Kingara Road, much better as well. Landis Road is now where it's packing up, getting towards Kamkunji, and that's really slow. Jogo Road never seems to not have traffic. Isn't that a thing? Aerodrome, then connecting from Langata Road, a little bit spilling over towards Raila Odinga Way this morning, still busy. So we're still in traffic hour, at least by the clock. Let's see what happens in a short while. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
7 minutes
This
after 9.
is the
Very good morning to you. Welcome to the final hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. President William Ruto is very serious on the issue of affordable housing. He appears completely intent on delivering on that target of 200,000 houses a year. Even if not within the first year, at least by the fifth year, he'll be very, very much closer to that target, if not hitting the target. Well, we've seen the conversations he's had. He's held conversations with those in the insurance industry, in the pensions industry, saying, how about you put your money into something that then becomes capital for development of houses? He has gone to Nakuru, he has gone to Kibera, he has looked at the affordable housing projects and how they start and how they shall be managed. He's big on this. So houses will be built. Now, the question is, are you ready to start owning a home? Mm-hmm. And you should be thinking about that. We want to talk to somebody who is today earning a salary or running a business, whatever kind of business, it's earning you anything between a bob and 150,000 shillings. You can own a home in the urban areas. If you think about those houses in Kibera, in Pangani, in Nakuru, and others that will be developed, start thinking about how you can own a home. And it's easy for you now with the Kenya Mortgage Refinancing Company, which is owned by the government and also owned by 9 banks and 11 SACCOs. Whole idea is you go to your SACCO, you tell them, I'd like the KMRC deal, you get a home loan, you pay a fixed interest of below 10% over 25 years. You can choose to pay it off early, that's fine. But you have at least 25 years to pay. You have up to 25 years to pay. It's a good thing, isn't it, Gabriel?
Totally. I think it's a step in the right direction. If we, or if the government, from the last administration, if they had followed through and through with the Big Four agenda, I've always thought the Big Four agenda were a set of projects. If well executed, if well done, would have actually changed the trajectory of how we looked at things. In fact, they would have been a game changer to the number of projects that we want to do. So the housing, the affordable housing, I think it's one amazing project that needs to be capitalized upon. We actually need to find value in it. And many people, if they are going to see value in it, then I think we are going to be, we are going to set ourselves apart. I think many countries that have succeeded in the issue of housing, they've actually followed the same paradigm. So I think we are in the right direction. People need to have faith in what is being done, and they need to also have their mark on it. Once you own really a home, it is a world of a difference. Somebody was telling me that when you're not paying rent, I don't know how true this is, but to me, I think it sounds actually quite logic that when you're not paying rent in Kenya, or in Nairobi for that matter, 60% or 70% of your problems are taken care of, because that is what keeps you up at night. So when you're able to afford and I'm not just talking about a home, I'm talking about a quality dwelling. Where you're able to even feel comfortable for you and your family. I think you are better off than than renting. So I think it's a step in the right direction.
But when you talk about affordable housing, we speak as though it's a term that is understood by everyone. When you say it's affordable, then everybody understands what you're talking about. And yet the housing needs of the citizenry is very diverse. If the average citizen in this country, and I mean average, earns 200 shillings a day, and that's what they subsist on, which means it comes around 6,000 shillings a month. Kenya National Bureau of Standard Statistics here. Now, how does someone who earns 6,000 shillings own a house? How does somebody who earns 10,000 shillings own a house? How does somebody who earns 20,000 shillings own a house? How does that work?
And I think that's why it has to be a grand project.
It is.
Let me give you an example of what I know. There is a dwelling, I think, in South Africa, and I had read about it. It's actually one of the policies that I was making. What they do is you rent to own. And I believe that could have been, I don't know for sure, but it could have been, that is what the Kariako houses, the Huruma, the government houses, projects that were started. I believe that's what was meant to happen. You remember the Kanjo homes? Botella, you start paying to the council, But as you move through years, you get to a point where you own that. Because if you look at the amount of money you've paid, whether it's, because you look at your earnings also, if you're able to come up with 10% of your earning, because either way, whether you like it or not, you're paying more than that. So when you when you commercialize everything and everyone is putting to a kitty on affordable housing, it will be able to be spread out. Now, what usually spins the whole project is I want it now. If I'm putting the money, I want the home ready. There is an element of delayed gratification that Kenyans must understand. It's the way you do the chama. You wait for your turn. So I think where people get
disillusion.
Yes, is how long do I need to wait before it
comes to me?
Before it comes to me.
But are you even given the indication of how long you need to wait? You see, when the promise is made, there's an immediacy to it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And I think that's where
that's the whole issue. That's where because the process must be managed very well.
That's where the whole program of the affordable housing and the social housing as well was looking at. How do you remember there was the Macau platform?
Yes.
Where you register with just a small amount of money.
Yes.
And the platform, the system, the algorithm randomly picks the X number of people who have said that they would like to own a 1-bedroom house. X number of people would like to own a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom. So when 1-bedroom houses are under construction, then the platform already, the algorithm allocates from the people who had indicated that they are interested in a 1-bedroom.
Yes.
And then they are just told, pay a deposit, and when the house is complete, you start renting to own.
Correct.
And that's it.
Correct.
So I think it starts from, is there adequate supply of those units?
Yes.
And if you see now the president looking at let's have here, let's have the other, then you increase the supply, the pool of houses available.
Yes.
Now, if you have also a matching pool of people who are interested, people who are looking at the kmrc.co.ke and saying, we want to take advantage of this, then they match.
Exactly. In fact, that is how it is supposed to work. That is how it's supposed, and that's why I keep telling people, it is a process that must be managed very, very well. You remember it started in Kibra, but that thing was messed up. You know why? Because the people who started purchasing those homes were the who's. You know, it did not go to the people who, who needed that particular service. You had Minister so-and-so, you start hearing MD such and such, you start hearing a CEO of this company, and they are not buying one unit, they are buying like 3, 4, 5. You know, so it becomes, they use it, as a means to grow wealth.
But Gabriel, there are individuals. You remember there were allocations, and the allocations were to actually people who resided in Kibera.
Correct.
There is a problem here, and the problem is this. When people talk of slums, the assumption is that those who live in slums are unhappy living there. It is not necessarily true. A slum is not just dwelling. It's an ecosystem. It is an entire community with literally everything that you see in other communities nestled right there.
Right.
Now, when you bring in a new housing project, you are telling them that you want them to move out of this community that they've lived in. You are looking at house, and yet it's a community.
Right.
Where they are familiar with what goes on. They know the where-to-fours of it, and they know exactly how to survive in it.
Right.
You're asking this person to actually encourage and take in a whole new change.
Yes.
What makes you think that is something that they're accustomed to? The majority of people who live in these slums, if you look at the backgrounds and where they come from, even their dwellings in the rural areas was a 1-room unit.
Yes.
At the very most 2. I'm not talking about the materials it was built with. Now, that's what they come and live in. And yet, you'll find it has services that where they came from didn't have.
Yeah.
What am I saying? You get the example of South Africa.
Yes.
The houses that you speak about in South Africa, they wanted to have houses that were valued at probably in Kenya shillings 500,000. Affordable housing. It was an affirmative action. Problem is this. If you have 500,000 shillings worth of a house, and that's what you can sell it for, there are people who will pay you. The xenophobic problems that happened in South Africa around that same time also had to do with what had been promised, what was given, and then the outcome. People did come in and started buying those houses. The person living in that house had never seen that 500,000 shillings equivalent in Kenya shillings. Someone offers him, they will take it. What I'm saying is the social dynamics involved with what you call affordable housing play a very, very key role in ensuring that this process works. It's not just building houses.
Yes.
No. There are other things that must be taken into consideration.
Correct.
Now,
correct.
If we talk about affordable houses and you don't look at what else is required in terms of housing and you focus on wanting people to own houses, there's a reality that not everybody can own a house. Not everybody can afford to own a house. Now, I'm simply saying it's a complex situation, and when one talks about it as though it's a one-stop shop where this will happen and everything else will be okay, it doesn't work that way.
But there are two elements. There are two elements, CT, and it's important as well that we raise both as distinct elements. There's social housing and there's affordable housing.
Correct.
CT, what's the difference?
The difference is this. You can have affordable houses and have a social element to it. And I'll give you the example of what I mean by having a social element. A social element, for instance, is if you are revamping or you are renewing an urban development like those old estates that you have. There are individuals who've lived in those homes, and it is no longer just a rental, it is their gishagi, as we say.
Correct.
Okay? Social housing will consider this particular person here, this is their home. So much as the cost of this house will be X number of shillings, we need to consider what this person has been paying as rent because they've been able to afford it. Now that rent becomes a keja, as you're saying, for them because they have a history. That's the social consideration for that housing. If you are a county employer, a council employee, and you wish to purchase that house, a consideration other than a commercial one is given to you. Now the commercial considerations will take into account somebody who has the means to afford it. Now they help offset these social considerations that we're talking about because the cost of the housing for them is commercial, it is market rates, so the element of profit is included. Now, this category of person who is able to afford may be given a much larger share in buying because the numbers of people who are able to afford is what will be able to make this project viable for whoever is investing. Because we are talking about PPPs and you're talking about individuals who want to make money from these projects. So you balance it. So you can even refer it as a mixed development project. But that's where the social element comes in.
Siti, let me give you, and this may... This I'll use actually personal experience. First of all, I do not think there is any person that I know or have ever heard who would tell you that they like the ecosystem of a slum. It's one of the most degrading things or areas or places one can grow. The reason why I'm telling you this, I grew up in a magical place called Madare Valley. We lived 8 people in one home. And it was a madhouse. That's where I came from. Nobody that I know would choose that situation. If you give them a way out, trust me, they'll do a lightning bolt. Boom. What is coming to play is not only affordable or socio, is upgrading the living standard. Yeah? The last thing you want for you and your child is 300 people using a communal bathroom, communal toilet. It is indeed degrading, human degrading. So the minute you get something that appears modern and you can own as a house and you can tell your kids, this is our home, everybody will go for it. That is why you see the first thing any self-respecting man or woman, what they do when they make or they act a good living and make some money, the first thing they do is get out from the ghetto system. Any self-respecting individual, that's the first thing they
Pursuit
did.
of dignity.
And I've had so many people when I was growing up, everything that we used to go and play while we were playing the field and say, my man, tutajatokaje huku. I grew up wanting to get out. And so did hundreds of my friends. We're like, how do we get out? And the people who are able to get out, by the grace of God, did. So I think the first thing we have to underline, it's not just an ecosystem that people want to be. It is life and sometimes choices, I say, that have put them there. Many people are fighting to get out. And the minute they get that chance, materially, they take the first exit out. So I think we need to be very, very conversant with the aspect of the social being that this is where they want. To this, I was born, to this, I will die. No. Many people want out. And when you've given them an avenue to start renting, because many of the people in the ghettos, they pay rent. You have
rent,
ghetto
yes.
landlords. Whether it's 500 or 800. And by the way, this one may surprise you, CT. The first bunch of money that a person makes, the first thing they put aside is rent. Because they don't want the uncertainty of not having a place to sleep or a place to call home. Whether it's a Katin shack or whether it's a madhouse.
500, 800, they've already set that aside. So I think when you tell that person, how much do you make in a month? And I believe I saw that plan because it actually goes with what you're making, like the touts.
Yep.
How much do you earn in a month? And most of them were tabulating and say, every month I make between 5,000 and 6,000 a tout. And so, can you save 30% of those earnings?
That's 2,000.
And they were ready. They were like, yes. Where do we 30%?
2,000.
30%.
2,000
Yes. And most of them were saying, and I'll own this establishment. They're saying,
if
yes,
it's for a purpose.
with time I'll own it. Every person that I know CT signed up. Everyone, bar none, they signed up. Because it makes not only valuable sense, but it brings them to the reality of owning a place they can live to there. Ati, son, continue with this because I started it out. So it's not only a thing about, so that it's a sort of an investment and inheritance kind of thing. If you look at the areas I'm telling you, Mbotela, if you look at Huruma, there's a card. Have you ever had that?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
There's a card that they say, this was owned, or this place was my mom's
Grandfather.
or grandfather's. And we've continued paying the rates to the city council. So imagine now you've gotten to a point where that green card, you're not paying any rates because you own that house. Now that is the mentality they are coming.
That's a plan.
By the way, that's a plan. If you see the grand idea of what President William Ruto wants to do with that housing project, on paper, and I hope that's why I'm agreeing with you that it has to work, or it needs to work, it will be grand. It will be grand. It is something that Kenya will be grateful for. And in particular, those who live in the sweetie dwellings of Nairobi, they'll be grateful for years to come.
That's very true. Gabriel, you've said it very well.
Yeah.
Back to the issue that we were talking about before we excuse you, so we can open the phone lines as well. Parliament, members of Parliament back in the House, continuing the debate, looking at the Minority Report. Minority Report was saying, you know what, we have issues with these two, Medeka Linturi and Aisha Jumwa. Majority said, no, they're fine. Unanimous decision on the issue of Penina Malonza. They're going to vote today.
Yes.
How do you predict it going?
Well, now apart from playing the devil's advocate, I think I've done that too much. I think the reality,
realist now.
Yes, the reality of things, with all due respect, the reality of things is everybody wants somebody who qualifies to do that job and do it well. We live in times of great complexities where extended thinking has become the requirement of the day. Efficiency and proper service delivery ensures that people come to Kenya as a destination of choice. So yes, you need people who are able to deliver and people who are able to add value in a great country like Kenya. I told you, we are surrounded by competitors that are eating into our numbers. Rwanda has started eating into our numbers when they opened like Bugesera, when they opened, the national museums and the other things that they are opening up. South Africa still, are raking out our numbers. Ethiopia, everybody within our region, they are looking to get our numbers. How do we then create value out of the 2 million tourists that we are getting, to bring them into 3 million and 4 million and 5 million and eventually maybe 10 million, that it becomes our core income earner apart from diaspora remittances? I think we need to have somebody who can see 4 years from now. And that's why I'm saying we need to go for the best. But as we go for the best, we also need to understand that what City was saying, that this political process, it may be a reward, but it also has to be managed. Let us also be clear that this person is not a standalone person. Who do you put behind her? What teams does she surround herself with? What kind of knowledge does she bring on board? And most importantly, what is she able to deliver in the first 1 year? I think if we are going to use such variables, then I think we'll be headed in the right direction. That's why I started by asking, what are we looking for? I am looking for somebody who will make tourism get to where it needs to be. I am looking at tourism to ensure that we move to frontiers that will have millions of visitors coming to our shows. To your question, the final one, I think I'm seeing Parliament actually approving her. And if they don't, I think there are still other qualified Kenyans who can do the job. So I think the president will be forced to go back and pick somebody else. This time, probably somebody who is quite qualified and who can encompass the trust of Parliament, as you guys say. But the way I'm seeing it, they may want to save her because of this particular reason. Out of the 20-something people who are vetted, I think she'll be so broken to be the only one. In matters integrity, with the likes of Venturi and Aisha Jumwa, on integrity, that one I never compromise. And this is what I say. We can play style on everything else. Yeah, we can moderate, as somebody said. Let us moderate on style. And let us moderate on everything else. But we should never moderate
on integrity.
On integrity. No.
So they shouldn't be appointed.
If it qualifies that they have integrity issues, no.
That would be the one thing upon which you'd say, look, just on that alone is enough to
Yes, because to me, integrity
let's
should
put
be
into
the
that
hallmark.
committee, all right?
Yes.
So let's put it into that committee.
Yes.
Your vote would be the tiebreaker here.
Yes.
There is split perception on whether it qualifies to disqualify these people on integrity issues.
Yes.
Right? Yes. As it stands, majority think it's not an issue.
Yes.
Integrity is not in question on these two.
Yes.
Minority, 9 of them
Yes.
think there are integrity issues on this.
And I'm talking, and we are talking
Gabriel
about
Muduma,
and we are
cast your vote.
Yes, and we are talking about
Yes or
integrity.
no to Lituri and Aisha Jumwa.
If integrity issues can be proven, I'm not talking about witch hunt. I'm not talking about something else that was done. If it's integrity issues, I would vote for them not ascending to those offices.
Can be proven.
Provable.
That they've
No,
gone to
I
court,
don't. No, I don't want. I mean, we are a country that is based on laws. Your name cannot just come up and they say you stole. Somebody has to prove that you stole. I don't want to prejudge you by saying, where nobody can prove. That one I don't want.
If
I will not.
35 cases, you think those cases just happen
Still.
to appear?
Nowhere.
No, still.
Okay,
Still,
so you vote
still,
yes for
still,
Linturi
still.
and Aisha Jumwa.
No, if the quality,
Where we stand today, they have not been convicted.
Yeah, exactly.
So it hasn't been proven.
Yes.
None of the cases against them has been proven. In
Yes.
fact, others are just falling off the...
Exactly.
So-
On that one, I can't use anything that's not provable. That one, I'll be honest.
So you vote yes.
Not only for them. Yes, I would vote
So you
yes.
vote yes for Linturi?
Yes. Anything that's not provable, no. I won't subject anybody to that.
Eric, are we going on to a break?
Yes. And then we open the phone line. 0719-012-600. We want you to cast your vote then as well. 0719-012-600. Do you vote yes or no to Mithika Linturi, Aisha Jumwa, and Penina Malonza? Should they join President William Ruto's cabinet? Yes or no? We want to hear from you. Good morning. Remember, this Sunday we are running. And I told you I'll be telling you about the routes. Gabriel, are you running this Sunday? Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon?
I may actually run the quarter marathon.
Which one is quarter?
10K. Okay, roads are going to be closed.
Yes,
all right?
Yes.
From Kikuyu coming to Dagoretti, vehicles will be diverted to be able to access Dagoretti from Kikuyu through the southern bypass. From Karen, that's Karinda side, going to Kikuyu via southern bypass. Vehicles to be able to use the southern bypass to access Kikuyu from Karen through Dagoretti Road. Roads are going to be closed, some from midnight on Saturday and then being opened from around 1:30 p.m. on Sunday. So if you're planning on using that whole route of the southern bypass and the adjoining roads, remember there is a southern bypass, Ngong Road interchange, there's a Dagoretti Road interchange, Langata Road interchange, Mombasa Road interchange, ICD, and also the Wayaki Way exit from the southern bypass. Remember to plan yourself accordingly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
3, 2.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Eric Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalamia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
The baridi ni degree ngapi hapo?
Hata sijui lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy. You remember the kiss of Judas Iscariot? Iscariot.
Yes.
Is the one that imetuweka kwa hii mashida yote na mataabu kwa sababu of that kiss. Yet the slap of Jesus Christ when he slapped those guys wenye walikuwa wanauza mboga ndani ya kanisa took them to heaven.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Nairobi, Kenya. It says light rain, but the sun is shining. Highs of 28 and lows of 17. Sunny at 20 in Nakuru, highs of 28 and lows of 13. It's raining in some parts of Nyeri, highs of 27 and lows of 15. 20 and sunny conditions in Eldoret, highs of 26 and lows of 14. The rain is coming down in parts of Mombasa at 28, and we're also seeing 29 and light rain in Malindi. 27 and sunny conditions in Kisumu, highs of 31. And we'll see highs of 31 as well in Kakamega. Partly sunny conditions in Kampala, highs of 30 and lows of 18. And we're looking at lows of 23 and highs of 30 in Dar es Salaam. Okay, into Johannesburg, it's 19 and sunny, highs of 28 and lows of 14. And in Lagos, mostly sunny conditions for a change at 25, highs of 31 and highs of 31 as well in a rainy Kinshasa. Looking out into Beijing Wednesday afternoon, rain showers at 18, that'll be today's high. It's cloudy at 16 in Paris, cloudy at 17 in London, and we're looking at cloudy conditions in New York at 18. Coming into Wednesday, we'll see highs of 21 and lows of 14.
Spice up your life.
All right. So Rilo Dingaway, pretty busy this morning. We're looking at traffic coming off of Langata Road. It's looking a little bit better on Jogo Road coming into the city, but we're thinking that traffic has more or less dwindled. Kiambu Road is still busy here and there, and we'll also see some traffic still coming off Limuru Road, but in about an hour or so you should be fine until it starts all again in the evening. Through the morning, let's talk on SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Phone line 0719-012-600. What's your votes? Yes or no to Penina Malonza, Mithika Linturi, and Aisha Jumwa to join President William Ruto's cabinet. We want to hear from you. 0719-012-600. Gabriel Muthuma, our guest this morning, who is a policy and governance expert, basically says yes. Yes to the two. What's your vote for Penina Malonza? Yes or no?
I would give her yes.
Okay. Gabriel says yes to everybody. Gabriel in Nairobi, good morning.
Morning, how are you guys?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, I think my namesake Gabriel missed the whole point of everything. Yeah, you can't compare the interview of Malonza and Moses Kuria, for example. The grasp of issues, the articulation. In fact, at one point, one of the interviewers commented that she brings no new ideas to the table, and they were not hearing anything different from what Balala had been doing all through the years. So I think she was a big no for me.
Okay. Linturi?
Yeah. I'm indifferent.
Aisha Jumwa?
Aisha Jumwa is a yes for me.
All right. Thank you, Gabriel.
Yeah.
James in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, James.
Muramati Gabriel, good morning. Now,
good morning.
If we are talking about the use of and syntax and good English, then Penina Malonza should have a few other neighbors in that list. Some other guys who performed much more dismally. But that's just my view. grasp of language, and some people can have a very good grasp of language, but have pure interviewing skills at the interviewing table.
Yep.
And the reverse is also very, very true. You can be very good at the interviewing table and then no zilch when it comes to working. So interviews, sometimes maybe we need to find out a different way. Now, as to the other two, I disagree with this notion that we have come up with, that integrity issues only come up when you're found guilty by a court of law. But the very fact that you're in a court of law is an issue. The very fact that you're there with 1 or 2 or 20 or 30 or 40 cases is an issue. And we need to come up to a point in this country where we take it almost the Japanese way. The very fact that there is a iota of a blemish on my character, then I should move away from that public space.
Okay.
That is the only thing that will save it. And
So,
this
James.
is what the framers of that law had thought about. It only went to Parliament where it was watered down to what is it now. That
James. So yes, Mithuka Linturi, yes or no?
No.
Aisha Jumwa, yes or no?
No.
Penina Malonza, yes or no?
If it's yes, because I mean, Eric, you didn't know everything about broadcasting the day you got a job. You did.
Yes.
You
yes,
did. You learned
yes,
on the
yes
job.
is your vote. Sawa. Thank you
Yes.
very much, James. Let's hear
Thank
from
you.
Moses. Moses, good morning.
Hey, good morning. This is actually a very exciting discussion because we are actually talking about a possibility of circumventing the law, right? So, because we have politicized the issue of integrity, so we don't see integrity from the lens of what it is. We see it from the lens of politics, right? So, you are right or wrong depending on which side of political divide you are on. So in that case, we may never really talk about whether we are voting yes or no for one person or the other. But I think there's a guy there who raised the issue of conviction in a court of law. I mean, we could go with that and say, yeah, as long as they're not convicted, we can, But if you have, my friend, 26 cases in a court of law, my friend, you should just pull up by yourself. Yeah, so for me, no vote. I think we just stop politicizing integrity.
So no to the three of them. Oh, we lost him. John.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
First of all, I would like to vote no. Like even before you ask, like no.
Okay.
The reason is the moment that we decide to demystify mediocrity is the moment that we lose everything. I'm just looking at it. The moment, for example, the way we always review our domestic managers, I mean, the extent to which we review our domestic manager is so strict that if we can apply the same principle when it comes to national issues, we really need to up our game. So I vote no, and we even need to, have more people on that particular no docket. But I pity with the committee because most of these appointments are done through associations. So it's even quite unfortunate that the lady is finding herself alone in that particular pool. But anyway, let me vote no, but we need to add more people in that no docket.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. 0719-012-600 City. Yes, no?
Yes to what and no to what?
To the three.
In terms of...
In fact, it now emphasizes that we vote for Malonza again.
No, but you know how I think about such issues, Eric. I mean,
yeah, but it comes down to a yes or a no. You are thinking all of it. Yes, you have thought about it, but when it comes to decision making, it's decision time now. Yes, no. Medhika Linturi, Aisha Jumwa,
Yes.
Penina Malonza.
Let me just be clear. Yes to what? Would I vote for them to take the positions that they have been
approve them,
appointed?
No, don't approve.
I'd approve all three of them.
Okay. Jack in Homer Bay, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you?
I'm very fine. I wanted to comment on that. I think when it comes to issue of integrity,
yep,
it's I don't think it's good because, you know, those people, they always finance the campaign, during campaign period. So it's just like a reward. I don't think it will work in Parliament. They'll just pass that motion on. So I don't think it will happen.
So even asking you whether it's a yes or no doesn't matter?
I think it should be no, because most of them have integrity issues. Like Aisha Juma, I don't think she's fit to hold that office. And Mythical Inturi, Malonza, I don't know about her. But for the two of them, I think it's a big no.
Okay. Thank you, Jack.
Okay.
Ndu?
No.
No
times
really.
3.
No. For me.
For the lady, no.
No times 3.
I think also there's a mistake that we make there. And we say, okay, now we bring in the gender. We play the gender
I have to play the gender
card
card at this point.
Oh, you know, because she's a woman and we must meet the quota. No. Even
But
when
no.
we say that there should be that balance when it comes to then there are people who are worth it, who are look, at the very least able to articulate their position.
Have you realized that all our viewers, all our callers, they've talked about integrity. Nobody's questioning. And that's why I was asking you, what are you looking for? Nobody's really talking about Malonza's deficiency.
Well, there's somebody who talked about...
What I mean...
Somebody who compared her performance with Moses Kuri. You heard the call.
Well, you can't.
And he said
you
no,
can't
because she did not inspire confidence.
You can't do that. I wish if somebody was talking about her credibility. I mean, when is essence and value and character coming in this equation? Because I'd have expected us to be discussing her on those lines. Is she? It's really not how she's been able to articulate things. Yes, it's. What corruption cases does she have? Do we have is there a deficiency in her character?
I think there are many things upon which you can refuse or affirm somebody.
I agree, but to me, the most important thing, and that's why I like what the guy said. He said, passing an interview, people can actually scheme to pass one. But then what after you've passed an interview? And this is where we go wrong. Even sometimes when we are questioning our education system, who are saying you satisfy the examiner.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to and that's why I like Albert Einstein when he says education is the ability of the human mind to think. You cannot pass the test of satisfying an examiner and then not be able to pass and succeed in your environment, because you need to look at your environment, question it deeply to see the solutions that are within, and then know which of those solutions that may be able to help your society is a matter of supreme urgency and importance. Now, if you cannot do that, even with 20 PhDs, you can have as many degrees as a thermometer, but you're still lost.
That's a lot of English. Janet in Garden Estate.
Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Janet.
Your guest, I want to ask him, because I think he's really skirting around issues.
Uh-huh.
Does he run his own farm?
Gabriel, do you run your own farm?
Yes.
Would you, if I came to you
Yes.
and I told you I have 30 cases in court,
Yes.
would you still go ahead and employ me?
But they're just politically motivated.
If they are politically instigated, enemies are coming after you.
No, either yes or no. Even if you're not.
Well, let me answer it. Let me answer it to you. I'll say a no because I don't run a political correct firm.
Exactly. Integrity does not know politics. Integrity does not know business. Why can't we apply the same ethics that
Let me tell you.
apply in the businesses, even in political offices? And these are the people who are going to be shaping policy and everything that affects our lives.
I have clients.
I
have clients, sweetheart, that go to court all the time. None has ever been found guilty. But guess what? They are still my clients.
Yeah, they still, even I am in business with people. But let me ask you one thing I'm asking.
They
if
give
you have
money.
30, not
how about
one,
people
not
that you
two,
give money?
not three. Would you really be putting me in your inner kitchen cabinet or whatever?
Like the case of Mythica, I think it was something to do with some domestic affair. Really,
There
would
are
I?
35 cases, Gabriel.
No,
Anyway,
you're just
Janet.
shooting yourself on your foot. And then the other thing I wanted to say, even for Malonza, even if the guest is saying that education does not mean that you're able to articulate or you're very competent in a sector. But you have to come and prove to me that you're able, you understand, at least you have a bit of a grasp of whatever you're getting yourself into. You cannot employ a chef, yet they have never handled a kitchen knife. Really? Why can't we just go to the basics?
If you go with that narrative, then none of the cabinet secretaries would qualify.
No, some of them, they have done some of their homework, and it gives me a bit of confidence. I can say, okay, this person, probably he understands. Given time, he will be able to handle the kitchen knife. But if you're handling it the wrong way, then I'm saying, okay, fine, let me bring you into my kitchen. Come on.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you. Matunda in London.
Hello, good morning, Eric and the team.
Good morning, Matunda.
Now, I'm just, calling to just also put in my views on what is the discussion is about.
Yes.
I think we have to look at things. Recently, a Home Secretary just made a small technical mistake, and she had to go in the UK government.
Yep.
If you have an issue in court, we know someone was shot and died when Aisha Jumwa was a member of parliament. She is in court because someone died. Her family lost a loved one. She is in court and she still wants to be put there to be a leader. Are we going to have leaders who will be seeing others die in their presence and don't take ownership? Lintuli has got an issue where they have gone to settle it out of court with a woman, whatever he did with that woman, they have gone out to settle it out of court. It means he is guilty.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, if I went out to settle an issue which has gone to court and we have now agreed, amicably we go and settle it out of court. It means I am actually owning up to my part of that matter.
No, it doesn't.
Or your accuser
could be a myriad of reasons.
It cannot be political motivated if I was met with a woman in wherever we met. Will that be politics?
Hey, my friend, politics. Anyway,
our system also needs to be put in a situation where you're doing marketing for a beautiful country. You need to have the best out of the system. Even if it was to put her in the tourism board, where she will also maybe slowly come up and get the act of the game and market the country. We are faced by Ethiopia. We are faced by Rwanda, as our friend says.
Gabriel. Yep.
If we have to market ourselves and achieve what we need to achieve, then we need to seriously look at who do we put our best out there to market our country. All corporations, all international bodies put the best that they have to market their product.
Well put, Matunda.
We are not going to give it because of a political alienation that this is what we need because I want to please my friends in Kitui, or I need to get someone. How many people in Kitui who are much more better to hold that position?
Maybe the president doesn't know them. Matunda, thank you very much.
You don't have the political capital.
But thank you very much.
Nelson is in Kiambu before you come in city. Yes. Nelson, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, so very few comments. First, I was to vote no. I was very adamant, but I've had city sentiments on this, and as a young guy, I'll approve all of them because we've been raised to follow a while now. So city utatuambia ni kwa nini, but tutavote bila.
Actually, I agree. That is why I wanted.
Mzee amesema.
Yes.
So
it's why. I actually wanted to explain why I approved all of them.
Okay, explain.
The reason is this. We are being hypocritical, but being Kenyans, we are allowed to be hypocritical. We are allowed to say this, change our minds, pretend we haven't said it. We are allowed. We all participate in the electoral system in this country. And the bulk of the people we elect are tainted in one way or the other. We know they are tainted. Yes. So that we don't know, we do know.
Yes.
We participate in corruption. You give a bribe here, you circumvent the law here, you do this here. Here we have people whose sins are clearly in the public domain. Someone like Linturi, when you have 35 cases, it tells me this is a person who has capabilities. Because
oh my Lord.
He is not in jail and he has 35 cases. And this is a very able person. Okay? Now I'm thinking of if this man just for a single second turned
Applied
his
the same capacity
to actually agriculture, my friend, the things, because this is a man who's used to dealing with problems. 35 cases are not few.
And you can handle them, manage them.
And he's in politics. He's lost an election. He's still in there.
Yes.
I mean, this isn't your average ordinary person. Okay? You're looking at Aisha Juma and her history, where she's come from and the struggle she has had.
Yes.
Somebody was shot, someone died. You cannot downplay that and call it any other thing. But the fact that she has risen by her bootstraps and gotten to where she is, she has shown clear ability.
Yes.
You're in one party, you move to the other, you say this, you change your mind, you lie here, you don't tell the truth here. That's ability. Our politics, we approve and we laud and we reward such individuals. So why are we now pretending that all of a sudden, because they have been nominated for some ministerial post, suddenly we're in the bar? What bar?
Yes. and CT actually to emphasize actually on what you've said, CT actually to emphasize on what we've said, these people have already passed. I mean, Aisha Juma, she was running for governor. She had already passed the integrity issues. Actually, chapter 6. She was cleared to run. Anyway,
Gabriel, that chapter 6 is so watered down. I'm not sure there's a document whether it's
I'm just saying. So I think Parliament was the final frontier. Really, if you look at
Parliament is not a frontier. Parliament is a passage. You go and you just walk through. Let them loose. We are bringing integrity issues to Parliament. Parliament. Integrity issues.
Some guys who are receiving 10,000 in the toilet.
That's why we're bringing integrity issues. And then we're saying that we have a standard. Look, let's continue with the low standards that we have and the low bar that we have. And let's just be honest with ourselves and say, look, okay, there are issues here and there, but it is okay. They're the ones who have been given this job. Let's see what they make out of it. Because this individual you're going to point to and tell me this one, because we know he is worth 500 million shillings, we know that he has 10 factories, we know the value that has produced this. Why are we not asking questions that we ought to have asked? Was anybody questioning so how it is they have the money they have in great detail? No one. Let the three of them be appointed and carry out their duties. We will judge them when they start working.
There you go. We actually judge them immediately. Not even immediately. After let's see what they'll do within a year. Let's see what they'll do.
And you guys are serious, aren't you?
No, by the way, I am serious. I'm not being facetious. I am serious.
I'm also
serious. Let them take up their jobs and let them continue. Let's see what they're going to do with their jobs.
Yeah.
If there are court cases, the court cases will continue. We'll see.
So what shall we judge them by? We're saying a year. What shall we judge them by within this year?
I judge people, and also I don't even want to use the word judge, but I look at the results. What have you done? I look at the results, and I feel that should be what everybody is looking for. Because the person sometimes you think may not be able to bring anything to the table, probably they actually surprise you at the end of the day. You realize these guys, they've done so much that you didn't even expect. They've gone past expectation. So I would think I'm so result-oriented, just like what I told you without Akina Mourinho. They care less about how they speak. They care less about what happens outside the field. What actually brings or makes them who they are is the titles and the trophies that they bring. That is how I want to look at everybody. In fact, that's what I want to judge William Ruto's administration by. Their results. What are they able to accomplish? Their manifesto. Are they able to? We voted them because of a plan or whatever they had. Have they established everything that they say they would do? Have they succeeded? That is what I would judge them with.
Is there a point of vetting? Because we're all falling back into, if Ruto has picked them, then let them be appointed. Is there a point?
Well, I think it's
going through this whole
it's in the law.
For what? There is a point.
For what?
To show that we understand.
To show that we at least
understand that there must be some sanitizing and there must be some window dressing to some of these things.
Yeah, but can we just accept that there is no point of this whole sanitizing? Blah, blah. The sanitization happens as they do their work.
There is a point, because the fact that we have them tells you that we are not all is lost. We still have a modicum of understanding that certain standards ought to be maintained. All is not lost.
But you know what is right to do.
We have an idea of what ought to be done, and we're going to pretend that that's what we are upholding, when we know full well that's not what we're doing.
It is costly.
Wasting a lot of money, man.
No,
it is not 4 weeks since the president nominated
It is
them.
not costly.
4 weeks.
It is a process
of learning. It's costed the president 4 weeks not to have his people doing the job with the official mandate to do the job.
It is
That's
not costly. The lessons that we learn from these processes are priceless. And we must go through them. And the tradition will in time have the qualities that we require, but it must be there. So that we have the tradition of vetting is good. The quality, we will get there.
Correct.
Right now, we are not there. We are at the very bottom of the barrel, but we will move with time. So it is okay. But these three that we're talking about, can we quickly appoint these people and let them start working so that we can see what they can do?
The swearing in should be done.
I'd say let the president have a free hand. Nominate, don't nominate, appoint.
No. We must
President
go through this
chooses,
process.
President appoints, gazettes, they're sworn in, we move on.
Eric,
This whole game
this is how I
of...
look at it. This is how I look at it. The president has a plan. He knows how he wants to execute this plan. He knows the people he needs to bring on board.
Yes.
He knows the kind of qualification that they must have. He knows really what they must bring up. I mean, he's coming for re-election in 2027.
Yeah.
What must he do? And I believe he knows what he has
So
to
if he has confidence in somebody, then let nobody question. If he is the president, he has confidence in someone.
Remember that constitution.
People have tried to question, and here you are, you guys are saying
there are processes you must go through.
Constitution was written by us.
Yes, it was.
Let's now agree that
We go back.
this thing is a waste of time.
But Eric, we've
It's
agreed that they must be vetted.
Anyway, let's continue the conversations tomorrow. Thank you very much for tuning in. Gabriel, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Kenya's biggest conversation. Remember, we'll be running this Sunday. Roads will be closed in some parts for those who are not running, but don't worry. You can still run. The room is the place that Gabriel will get somebody who does not have integrity questions.
Yes.
Who does not have questions of their capacity, capability, and the ability to express themselves with the work that they do. TheRoom.com. Have a lovely day, people. It's 10 a.m.
Spice up your